this is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes, and you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. You're the new MC, you got the remix. Keep it on repeat, just let the beat kick. Everywhere you go, you bring the roof down. Everybody knows you got your own sound. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, yeah, you like it, the way you like it now. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, so good, so fresh. Get up on your feet. Show me you got soul. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.
Sometimes you gotta pray for a victory. Yeah, I'm overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been tested so much, all these restless nights, all these different situations that I've been through. I seen pain trying to creep in through the window, but now I'm sliding through the hood in a benzo. You gotta separate yourself just to elevate. I keep some drink in my cup to see through the hate. Sometimes on the road to glory, you gotta press the brakes. I got a lesson plan for all my past mistakes. I swear I'm proud of all my best and my worst days. Proud of on my feet when I touch the ground. Front of A to Beijing, man, they know the sound. I know I made mistakes, but my mama proud. Fans scream my lyrics out in the background. They ain't know me then, but I'm hot now. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. Life down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. When you down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. I'm faced with a lot of different choices these days. Do a rock and roll Lex account of Blueface. The whole world know my name off a mixtape. I still got the same brothers since 6th grade. G-Wagon, red seats, we on Biscayne. Trips to the Florida Keys, we imported these. Thanking God for the life he afforded me. All this jewelry on my body, I could light the hood. I need a brown skinned chick just like Megan Good. Holding up every promise that I ever made. Music in the background, it's a serenade. Been rapping 10 years, boy, this ain't a phase. I paid dues, paid rent, and I stayed the same. I had teardrops running down my face. I've been through a lot, I had real pain. But thank God, cause we really on a better days. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. Life down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. When you down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. What's a life without sacrifice? Sometimes you gotta thank God and just roll the dice. Pacino.
The road to the top is a riddle. What will be my destiny? Money and fame are awaiting, but not enough is raining on me. Maybe I should give it all up. How much more can I take? Out here singing to the heavens. When I gonna get my break? I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. How will I get out of the jungle? Everybody wanna stop me. 10 more steps up the mountain. Now everybody's looking for me. Spend my life in the desert till something changed inside of me. Now I'm flying over oceans. Everybody looking at me. I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Full power, get louder. I'ma get strong, just watch me. Full power, get louder. I'ma get strong, just watch me. Every hour, no doubter. Gonna hear my song, just watch me. Every hour, no doubter. I can run this town. Somebody give me the key. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. No more doubt about me. Oh, I can run this town. Don't you know I got the
I'll keep going till my secret calm blows. I'll keep going till my secret calm blows. I'll keep going till my secret calm blows. I'll keep going till my I'll keep going till my I'll keep go till my secret calm. I'll keep going till my secret calm blows. 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 Till my speaker calm. I'll keep going till my speaker calm blows. I'll keep going till my speaker calm blows. I'll keep going till my speaker calm blows. I'll keep going till my speaker calm blows.
ESL presents ESL Challenger League in partnership with Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Chex.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another bright and beautiful evening of Counter-Strike for ESL Challenger League Season 51. We're still in the first cup for the EU region, but we're not quite at the end of it yet. We have reached top 8 territory and we are in the upper bracket today, having a quick look at two fascinating teams. But of course, it's not just me, Mac, bringing you all the action. We've got Paladin to bring you all the knowledge as well. Paladin, how you feeling today?
Oh, I'm excited, man. I haven't been on the EU side of things in quite a bit of time, and I think we've got some good games going on. I feel like all 4 of these matchups are pretty even across the board, and that makes me really excited for the future of this bracket. You know, a chance to potentially go into the ECL finals for the EU side of things, and a chance to potentially gun for a spot at EPL, and you know, that's what all these teams are playing for at the end of the day. Sure, the VRS points are nice, but a chance to play at an S-tier tournament like that and rub shoulders against the best of the best, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that is essentially what they're all playing for, as well as that cold hard cash, VRS points, you name it. They are all just working their bottoms off to try and get as far up the rankings as possible and also get those invites throughout the year. These two teams in particular are teams that I kind of expect to see maybe slide through in a couple of qualifiers, and at the moment they are putting themselves in a great position to do so. But yeah, GenOne and TDK, both of these teams, look, organizational wise, they've been around for a little while, but if you look at the name value for both these teams as well, that's where you probably will expect a little bit more from both these teams. And we're having a quick chat before. You said you expect them to play a little slower than maybe some of the other teams that we've had on the mainstream. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, that's just how Nafany likes to approach the game, and it's been the case since the Gambit days, since the Gambit Youngster days. Moved over to BetBoom, and I definitely think he started to up the pace a little bit, just to kind of adapt to the new game and what have you. But I'm hoping that this new energy that he's brought into this roster in Xanter and Sugar could potentially speed things up a little bit later down the line. And, you know, the only way that he can improve as a caller is if, you know, he improves the results in these kinds of tiers and finds a way to make things work against you know, storied French rosters like this one. So I don't know, I have a good expectation from Nafany, and I'm sure that we'll have some good results. This is again what they're playing for: 12K for first place, and an opportunity to again go into that EU finals and gun for an EPL spot.
Yeah, and I'm keen to see exactly what we get out of both the teams today, because I think if they lose, they are, you know, at least locked in minimum 5th, 6th place, so they will be going home with at least $1,250 each, which is going to be interesting. And as you can see, this is where we are playing today in the upper bracket. Yes, it is overwhelming, so we're going to zoom in and have a quick look at, you know, the pathways of all these teams, how we got to where we are at the moment, which is on that top side of the semis of the upper bracket. We got TDK and GenOne. The other game, which will be off stream, is Leo up against Mouse NXT, which is another decent one. And then down in that lower bracket, we got some crazy things in store as well, which is, you know, going to be interesting. One of the games I would have loved to follow X-Ruby into today, but we also heard that I think Alliance has a clash with another league that's on the CCT. So I'm not sure if that game will be played or if there's going to be some kind of forfeit involved, which would be sad because Alliance has come a long way through that lower bracket.
Yeah, Male is just, I mean, always a treat to watch, and I'm sure everybody has the eyeballs there. But X-Ruby are definitely still in the conversation within the tier. And then Ill Will Sparta, I mean, the Ill Will conversation has been a really exciting one, just seeing their development as a core for quite some time now in EU. And unfortunately, they had a scheduling issue, and that's really the only reason why they're in the lower bracket to be frank with you. But I think that they're a skilled enough team to have stayed in the upper bracket if they did not have those clashing issues. But that's just the way cookie crumbles sometimes in this tier of European Counter-Strike, where we've got so many tournaments, so much action going on, and the fact that they're still in the tournament makes me very excited. And I hope to see Ill Will potentially play up against one of these rosters if they can make it all the way there.
Yeah, and hopefully they're going to be able to do that at some point. Is that going to be today? Is that going to be later on? We'll see. We'll see. And they might end up playing one of these teams as well, because, of course, Loser does still have the second life, that second chance down in the lower bracket. And that is, of course, the bonus about staying here in the upper bracket. TDK and GenOne, though, going to be a stellar matchup. It was definitely my pick today. I feel like GenOne, look, some of the names just have so much experience on this team. They've been around for many, many moons now. You're looking at your NBKs, Masuda. You've even got Jocko there, who's still sort of been, around that tier 2, maybe not the tier 1, maybe we'll call 1.5 for at least a little while. And yeah, essentially majority French lineup with a bit of Chucky in the mix coming from Belgium. We'll see what they're going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best Gen 1 roster ever assembled. I don't know if that's like a ridiculous statement to say, but they've recycled a lot of like very old talent, and I'm talking like just extremely old, that makes those rosters feel like a last hurrah. But this roster feels like a team that has aspirations to actually play at a tier 1.5 level, to attend these lands, these smaller lands, and potentially go deep there and gain some VRS. And again, world ranking of 70, that's probably one of the better rankings this Gen 1 organization has had. And I think the results kind of speak for themselves. They've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike. They've been winning a lot against like tier 3 competition. And again, I think the construction's actually pretty good. You've got the I guess the synergy from ex-double pony players with Joko, Misuta, and NBK. Yeah. And then you take some chances on some younger talent in Broxy and Chucky, who haven't necessarily like slotted in completely in a place, but I think the identity is very clear. It's just chemistry built with 5 players, very similar to 3D Max, and you can obviously see the similarities between the two sides and the fact that they're both French.
And now, of course, on the other side of the field today, going to be TDK, which is, this mix of Xanta, Zorti, Axile, Nafany, and Sugar, which, look, some players hailing from, the Expet boom, some players coming from the Mega. I'm not 100% sure where Sugar was from before. It's probably the least familiar name, or at least the name that I'm least familiar with. So, yeah, do you have any insight on Sugar?
Yeah, Sugar came from Incilio, and I think that roster was also like kind of like a who's who of like up and coming tier 3 Russian players, and I think Sugar has done very well for himself to earn a spot here. I think he'll be an exciting rifler to watch, but I'm really excited to see how Xanter specifically slots in. Of course, excited to watch Zorte play no matter what the roster he's in. He's obviously a stud in and of himself, but I think this TDK team is taking things very seriously. It's not a real org as far as I know from sources that I have. But they're playing with Groove as their coach. That Nafany Groove duo is still there, and you're getting some of the old exciting aspects of Gambit with Axile. But of course, there needs to be a little bit more, and you're hoping that juice comes from these younger pieces that they're trying to add into this roster with Xanter and Sugar. But of course, Axile will always be the X factor of this team, Mac, and that's just because we know what he's capable of. This was a top 20 player in the world at one point of time, and he can still have that. I'm still not going to just give up on him completely. And of course, the rating as of right now at this level of competition is still sky high.
Yeah, I'm keen to see what he's going to be able to do. Of course, look, it's been a few years since then, but at the same time, online CS, underdogs can go crazy. I don't even really know who the underdog is. Like, in terms of the world ranking, GenOne are better, but you know exactly what a lot of these individuals in TDK are going to be able to pull out of their hat. Sugar as well, I just noticed he's from Azerbaijan. I don't know too many players that hail from Azerbaijan that are playing at this level. So that's a cool thing to focus in on as well. But at the moment, let's have a look at the veto. Let's see where we will be playing, where we won't be playing. What do you got for us here?
Yeah, TDK going with the nuke perma, and I don't blame Nafany. He's never touched that map and never wanted to touch that map, and it'll stay the same. GenOne sticking with Mirage, which I think the identity of that team could actually lean itself to that, but TDK very formidable there regardless. And Anubis comes out for TDK. They had a couple of options to go with here, but I think if you want to avoid a French team on Dust 2, you're not making a bad decision whatsoever. I like the Anubis pick entirely. GenOne go to bread and butter. I think NBK has always called well on this map throughout his career. And then we do get a Dust 2 decider. So I think GenOne will be happy with the veto that they're getting. I think this feels like a 3-mapper, like written pretty much all over it. But I think I'll give a slight edge to GenOne. I like the identity of this team, kind of akin to these maps specifically, that I think TDK will have some tough times. Of course, if their individuals are on point, this game isn't really a contest, but it's really that cohesion that I'm comparing these two teams with, and I'll give GenOne that slight edge.
Yeah, I'm keen to see Anubis between these two. It's always a little bit of a bait pick still at the moment when you do pick into it, because of, like, arguably it could be CT-sided depending on who you're playing. It can be more T-sided, especially when you're online and you're going for those big swings. But also I've noticed the French guys, especially 3D Max, have been trying to sort of trailblaze a CT-side strategy, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing a similar thing from GenOne, because look, on paper, they're probably going to be scrim partners at some point, and I wouldn't expect to see too much different coming from them. But at the same time, you got TDK, who's had a relatively successful tirade on all their Anubis games so far. So I'm keen to see what both these teams have in store for us.
Yeah, and I think this Anubis change has really excited me, just with how dynamic CT sides can get. And you're exactly right. 3D Max is exactly the team that I would think about when I think about utilizing those changes to the best of their extent, and that is, you know, getting aggressive through that window, dropping into canals, and really pressing up against the T's and saying that we can actually fight for things on our own. But we'll get straight into game, and straight away we're into some mid action.
I love this. Where we going? All the way into CT? No, into camera we go. So not copying what G2 was throwing earlier. But the 3 CTs in a main make this a little more difficult to make their way into sight. Bomb going to be stuck at heaven. And we'll see if TDK are going to reroute or just go for the full-on fight here. Everyone's stuck, and the collapse is starting to come in from CT. Bomb makes its way to sight finally. And it is going to be planted for heaven control. There we go. Okay, if Joko falls, then... Oh, there you go. Makes things that much harder for the A main retake.
Yeah, it's just real difficult when you get smoked off like that. Broxy had a couple opportunities there, but all his teammates has fallen, and it's just NBK left up in this. Any auxiliary damage would be fantastic. But Xanter, given the necessary entries to open up that bomb site, and this is exactly kind of what I wanted his addition on this TDK roster to look like. A guy that can open things up and make these T sides feel a lot fresher, feel a lot more explosive, and it reminds me a lot of kind of how Axile would work on the map, on some of these maps as well. And now if you kind of add up the idea of Axile on one extremity, Xanter on the other, and you can have a pretty cohesive idea brewing for Nafany, a guy that really likes those extremity players taking charge. And now we've got a full eco out for GenOne, meaning TDK can start to push for canals control on a regular basis. They've got to punish this, but Crunch comes through from the CT side, and Chucky will just get one. But threat neutralized, they'll recover all the rifles, and they'll be happy to move on to round number 3.
Yeah, went for the strength in numbers approach. At least got, you know, some value out of that. 1 kill onto Zordi. But, yeah, you'll take it. You'll take it at least. Onto the guns. Chucky with the AWP online. MBK. Who's got that front spawn? That's something we need to look at too. Jocko. I think he's playing over towards B though, so may not go for the hard contest in water. We'll see. T-stairs smoke coming out. And TDK, slowly but surely, going to be making their way towards mid. They've already taken that water control. Ooh, and will contest it. And that's a big pick. Con player down, only Masuda to try and hold the B side. And we're going to see the pace picked up by TDK.
Yeah, I like this. I like that they're immediately trying to abuse the rotation issues that are there for GenOne. They explode into this B bomb site. Masuda stuck in the back of the site. Chucky with the rotation, and Masuda does well for 2. Unfortunately, they've lost some of his teammates again, and Broxy's already noted on the flank. So Sugar, Axile, they should have this contained, and you're never clearing this angle whatsoever. An upgrade for Axile, and a lot poppier of an idea here from Nafany. And I like that explosiveness. Continue using this momentum and make the GenOne CT side feel as uncomfortable as possible. Don't allow them to get that canals control.
Zorde with that pick and then also holding the window drop as well. Just it's so much space for the players to just pump into con, split that B site as fast as possible. And you can see that GenOne just were not able to keep up that round. So back to the pistols they go. And they haven't taken the front spawn again. So we won't see any water fiasco going down. They will just split into the 2-1-2. TDK this time looking like they are postured to at least test over towards the A side of the map.
Yeah, it's a weird situation when you don't have enough utility to push off the T side, and on Anubis, you can find as much space as you really desire with a minimal utility, but they'll stack this GenOne, and things can get dangerous regardless of an execution. Smokes will come through, mollies will fly, but again, you're kind of relying on Xanter and Axile to lead the way and make sure you don't lose bodies on the hugging as well.
Okay, Pistol's going to be able to find that first blood. Mayhem ensuing through the block smoke. But everyone's slowing down. And it looks like they will reroute back into Jocko, who is hard anchoring that B site. Info going to come through from NBK, who hears the rotation and, ooh, spots the jump up, but he won't be able to go toe-to-toe with that MAC-10. And now with mid control and another man down over towards A. Ooh, they might just send it straight back. Jocko constantly re-peeking. And they're just going to slow things down. 30 seconds. Bomb starting to make its way into A. Nafany locking down that mid-rotation for another one. And he survives on just 1 HP. Jocko hunting him down to at least find the late trade. But it is certainly going to be another round for TDK.
Yeah, and Jocko realizes that if he chases him too far, he's probably a dead man walking. And oh, the spam. I mean, it's on him. Somehow doesn't land. But I love just the adaptability of TDK here. This is a lot more fluid from Nafany compared to rosters past. I mean, instantly trying to capitalize on that A main space, and as soon as it doesn't go right, and he senses that something's a little bit off, he calls it off, calls for an immediate rotation, and we don't really see mid boosts all too often with this new window. It's still a little dangerous when you consider how deep the door switch actually goes for the CT side. And you saw how like awkward that fight was for Nafany, but he's still a pretty formidable rifler himself and makes it work with the SMGs, completely pushes off the CTs. Of course, it'll be a little more difficult to do it now that he's up against the rifles, but it's nice signs to just see TDK playing fast and loose with this T side, not getting stuck in the mud and caught in a rut with these early plays.
And you can see that they are putting high priority again this round on that con control, throwing the early molly to disincentivize Jocko for making his way into E-box. Oh, and there you go. Brooksy going to peek his head out of A main on the nice timing and finally take out Axile. So there's a man advantage and the first position GenOne's been in to potentially find themselves around.
Yeah, definitely nice to have. I mean, now you've got all of A main. You essentially cut the map in half, but I like this boost from Zorte. Creative enough to look down middle as much as possible, but they'll disassemble and they'll look at him to potentially entry. Gets a swing into E-box, but doesn't find his man. That being said, still E-box controlled gain for the T side, and a chance here to potentially split into B.
Ooh, especially with that. There's that equalizer. Does he expect it to be 2 players already? Stacked towards that B site. Chucky missed opportunity and doesn't expect Sugar. Still lurking on the stairs, but that's going to be the package. Starting to make its way to A. Footsteps heard. Let's see if it is just going to be the feign and what they do. 30 seconds on the clock. They need to figure out where they want to go. And it's the creep back towards B. NBK, a bit of an off angle. We'll see if Zordy hard clears it. Just waiting to fix that spacing. Good patience, but with 10 seconds, NBK getting that pick makes things a little awkward. Molly reveals that there's one more player over towards Con, but here on the platform, it's so difficult to try and refrag from multiple angles. Xanter will get the pick, but he won't have time to plant. Misses the package, and that's going to be the first round on the board for GenOne.
Oh, you can always count on NBK to put up a masterclass in anchoring. I mean, that's just such a difficult position to ever get out of safely with 1 kill, first of all, and then living for as long as he does. that essentially just secures the round. I like the idea here from TDK to potentially sway the rotation back over to A, cause a little bit of a pause, but this is like a small issue that I've had with Nafany's calling previously, where yes, you get caught in these mid rounds and you're just stuck between multiple ideas. You see a potential opening with getting A space and you say, oh, we could go A, but we could also feign and potentially go B, and then you get to pick on B, and you think vice versa. But at a certain point, you've got to stick to your guns and commit to an idea, and that indecision is kind of what cost TDK there. As soon as Chucky goes down, you've got to make a split-second call, and this time around, it cost them. So moving forward, we'll see. Again, they'll have chances to build upon this, but that is one of the setbacks that comes with Nafany that I'm hoping to see some more development and see if he can adapt to those kinds of situations a little bit better now moving forward.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up earlier, but it's also just discipline-wise, it is the right thing to do to group up and try and trade it. It just felt like the things were a little bit off in one way. Like, he didn't go for the trade. Whoever it was in con went for the molly instead of going for that trade onto the jail player, which could have bought them the extra 3 seconds that they needed to plant. Either way, it didn't work out like that, and it's something to look back on in the demo review later on. In the meanwhile, though, T-Stairs player falls, so does the A pressure, and things are getting real awkward. T's are in the B site, CTs are in water. They're going to have to try and retake this B site, which has been locked down by a smoke in Temple, smoke in Con. And the CTs just trying to position themselves to win this one with the man advantage.
Smoke up in E-Box buys them a little bit of time for a bomb plant. It can still get spammed, but they're hoping that Temple is just empty. Finally, the smoke fades, and it's just such unfortunate timing. Zorte is now going to be up to bat. They know where both of these players are, and Zorte can't hit the initial shot, so he's just going to get swarmed from E-Box. GenOne will get that defuse going, but another well put together round here from GenOne. It's aggression in through A, finding ways to constrict TDK into the B play, and then getting into E-Box as quickly as possible. And as soon as they're there, sure, you've got to smoke up, but it's essentially just a ticking time bomb. You know that the CTs are going to be able to split as efficiently as possible, and you're going to have to hit some bangers. And unfortunately for Zorte, you miss one shot, the round's essentially over. Not how he wanted to picture it, but that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes in those B post plants.
Okay, let's see. Is Brooksy a W holder? We got that T-Stairs smoke ready. He's got that front spawn, and he is looking towards mid. But it's A that he's interested in. Okay, so he won't be going front spawn. NBK goes through the molly, tanks half a health of damage. His bar's almost gone, but he does have a lot of info and a lot of control here with an extra smoke on that arch to complement the T-Stairs smoke. And you can see TDK, they are happy to play slowly, happy to go for the late retake, or even just put this mid pressure in, realizing that the CTs may have gone for the double drop.
Yeah, it's a nice read. Giving a lot of space over. And this headshot angle is always difficult to duel, but Joko makes it look easy. Big 5-on-4 to find now. And Sugar looking for him, looking where he scampered off to, but he's already gone. Upgrade available, and I like that nade over from E-Box. Softens up Xanter a little bit more. But again, TDK spread apart now. You know, you've got a little bit of mid space. You don't really have a main, and you're hoping that Zorte could potentially find you an opening, but you're running out of time, and this default's got to speed things up if they want to get any sort of a bomb plant going.
Ooh, awkward smoke there. Might end up helping Zorte find an isolated fight. But I don't know if the AWP's the best thing to go pushing through that smoke with. However, we are going to see a drop into water. While making its way to Con. 2 CTs here to hold, and they're almost going to find the spray down. Beautiful. Out of Xantar, finding the 2-man refrag. Molly as well off the back of the pick from Zorte. And that's the B site cracked open. It looked like this was a round that there should have been no right for TDK to win. But they have fought their way back in.
Yeah. Double E-Box setup can definitely feel like the CTs can do no wrong, and they should be able to lock it in, but not to be. That's again Xanter with some incredibly important entries, and once again just shades of Axile Hobbit from Gambit way back in the day, And that's kind of the bailout system that Nafany would have is sometimes you do get those solid entries, and then it just looks like butter, those defaults. But also got to credit Zorte for nailing that temple shot. If that's a miss, then there's a chance for a multi-kill on a CT player there as well. But GenOne, it feels like they're having the right reads. They've just got to find that extra little bit of oomph to get the trades going. I mean, if they go 1-for-1 on that D-box play, it's still probably GenOne's round. All things considered, the rotation's still coming through, and it should be fine. But yeah, that's what I kind of mentioned in the pre-show, Mac. That like if the individuals are on for TDK, they can get into any bomb site and they can hold any bomb site no matter what the position is.
Let's see if they can do it yet again. Money's not in the greatest place at the moment for GenOne. So this is a quite important round. And with a spam like that, finding Xanta, who was definitely the difference maker in the previous round, that might instill them with some extra confidence. Jocko just playing the smoke here close at con, realizing that there should be some teas just lurking away in water. And you can see that bomb starting to make its way all the way through T-spawn back towards A. So looking like the priority has changed, but with Jocko falling, where did TDK want to go?
Well, you can still leave Axile as a late lurk here, but he has given up his position temporarily with that airburst molly. Tough to land that one on the ground sometimes. But they'll just, I mean, you could consider just contacting up A the entire way. It's a double mid setup, so the room is there, but they have no idea of knowing that. So they'll toss in their util nevertheless. CTs will try to play ahead of that, but here comes the T's.
Good timing on the molly and the flash to let the T's right in, and BK has no crossfire to play with. Beautiful util forcing Brooksy back. There's going to be space to plant in the fishtail as well. So Zorte can win this fight for a main. Can hold himself in a solid post plant, but still has an inkling that maybe there's another man there on the flank. There was a flash for his teammate. Brooksy, he is looking, but won't get past the first hurdle of Axile. Chucky with the AWP in hand. Happy to carry it across to the next. Unfortunate timing for him. Would have had a freebie there onto Zorte, but it's 6 on that T side. And TDK just constantly pumping up the numbers.
Yeah, I like the added support for Axile as well. Having him come in second has given a little bit more swagger to him. Trading out a player and then doubling up for a multi. And again, Sorte, man. I mean, just like every target I feel like that's on his screen is just like an instant connection. It's so odd to me that he's been lost in all of the Russian swaps that we've had over the last few months, but he is still as electric as ever when he gets going. And doing this on the T side of things with that AWP, it's hard to generate openings like that, especially when sometimes your openers on your rifle core can't necessarily do it in the mid round. He's able to do it on his own. And I mean, if you want him to be that turret opper in the post, he can do that as well. So that like dynamic aspect of Zorte is something that I've always really enjoyed watching, and it just doesn't feel like he's showing any signs of stopping.
Well, let's see what changes after this technical, because someone is not having a good time. Looking like one of the GenOne players has left the vicinity for the moment. But yeah, so far, I'm liking some of the ideas we have from GenOne. Like map control-wise, they're doing a lot of great things. It's just, yeah, once that B site gets pressured, even the A site gets pressured, like TDK are just so good at hitting sites after the mid-round. And even though they do leave it quite late, you got to remember one of these rounds that GenOne has won was essentially TDK just leaving it too long.
Yeah, definitely. I think for GenOne, it feels like the reads are not bad by any means. You know, the rotations are still pretty swift. They're still at the point of attack as quickly as possible, but when you have your CTA WP not as mobile as you want it to be, it does feel like pretty static, all things considered, and unfortunately hasn't been connecting as accurately as you'd hope, and that gives a lot of free reign to some of these riflers to just garner space. It feels like they're getting a lot of space dry as well. Like they're getting into E-box pretty much for free off of like a molly. They're getting into like A main with one flash and no lurk smoke, and getting that much space with that little resource being used. The only way to change that on the CT side of things is if you get those riflers either aggressive, like you saw in Canals, or you get your CTA to be peeking down E-box a little bit more. Or maybe you set them up down that A main line. There are a lot of options that you can have for it, but you've got to keep these ideas moving as quickly as possible, because if you keep Chucky in one space of the map and you keep him there, it's just not going to be a good time for you.
Well, I can tell you, I'm having a good time. I love Anubis. I love when we get to see some new ideas, and especially what these tier 2 teams are cooking up. And also just how it's sort of all playing out as well. There hasn't been any real new utility other than maybe that HE we've seen from Jocko to get the bulk damage on the mid players. That was kind of nice. But other than that, everything's sort of playing out like we've seen it at tier 1 at the moment.
I think the other one that I mean, it's not really like unique to this match specifically, but it's just the window molly as well off spawn.
Yeah.
Super important because you want to force the CTs to take a little bit of a sacrifice, but here comes an up-tempo B play straight into the thick of things. And when Xanter's finding entries like this, it's going to make Masuta's life a living nightmare, and he can only find one yet again. So now TDK, they're getting both sides of the coin. Aggressive play into these sites and working out these defaults as well, Mac. I mean, this T side is whirring to life for sure.
Love that, though. Off the back of a technical, you know, your opponents are feeling a little slow. You know their money's not in the best way, shape, or form, and you just hit B. You just rush it as fast as humanly possible. I think there might have only been one flash to let the boys in as well, and they just, yeah, the CTs got caught completely. So off the back of that, what was the reaction? Push mid, which got caught off, and now you got 4 alive at the end of it. It's just looking way too easy. And TDK, again, going to be able to find themselves a 7th. GenOne, what money they got? Not too much, but if you save the AWP, save the M4, you can maybe make some kind of play, some kind of aggressive move to maybe win yourself around into the next. But yeah, that's something you don't really want to rely on, especially when you're getting towards the end of the first half.
And they try to get aggressive, right? And there were ideas formulating there for GenOne, but it doesn't matter when they up the tempo like this, and you're just not expecting it. It's just a great call from Nafri, and you got to tip your cap to him for making such a call. Now GenOne on the other end, you've got to take space as much as possible to force these options. And Chucky, I like this move from him. Moving to T-steps as quickly as possible, but that Molotov is just perfectly placed. It spreads exactly where Chucky wants to stand. And he gets pushed down to 32 HP. Now he's got to slow his roll just a little bit, and you hate to see that if you're a GenOne fan here.
You could see that he went for that pre-douse as well, but it just didn't give him the edge that he was hoping for. And off the back of it, TDK had that full mid control essentially. You've got Temple smoked off. NBK giving a lot of respect to the T's and hoping that he can hold some kind of B flank through Temple. But you've just got no map control at this point. You've got 2 players tucked in up at A, trying to play a setup. You've got the same thing going on at B. And with 50 seconds remaining, I guess, look, some of the players have at least held some utility. So there's that. They can maybe throw some counter util, and in the 5v4, you can hopefully trade it out.
Well, they're going to go straight through this. At least Nafli's going to search for it. It's a tough situation when you don't have your opener for you right now. And he's getting a lot of space here. He's caught back's turn. They're completely thinking that this isn't a possibility. Masuda's there for the trade. And you do have a rotation in kind, but you're hearing Brooksy rotate over, and they punish that, but kills all over the shop, and they mostly come up the CT's way. Tough to really piece that together if you're the defense, but they look pretty clean in doing so. Axel will try to get a last-second plant, but Chucky's there to catch him out. So
Yeah.
a second lease on life here for GenOne, but you got to also keep in mind Xanter disconnected there, and that's just an unfortunate case to happen there.
But he is back already, which is a good thing. And look, you're already at 7 rounds on the T side. Is that par, or are we looking more for 9? And can they make it happen here? Again, early rush utility, just to try and fade out any of that CT util. TDK not going with it necessarily. NBK, aggressive move at mid. Here's Chucky. Oh, for the support! What a transfer! 1 bullet onto Chucky's head. That is disgusting out of Nafany. Holy hell.
Nafany doing Axile and Xanter's job by himself. And now what do you do if you're GenOne? You basically just lose your mid-hold in like 10 seconds, and you've got to find a way to plug that gap. Just call the A gamble? I mean, why not? You go B, you save your guns. You go A, maybe you've got a shot. We've seen what the stacks have done before, but complete wind out of the sails for this French side.
Oh, I need to see that again. He was like on the fadeaway when he went for the transfer as well, and I was just complimenting GenOne's setup. I thought it was going to be effective. Oh, Lord. Well, in comes the A utility. Looking like they may send Axile in as a bit of a sacrificial lamb. Flashing forward, but they are happy with the info that there was a flash. There's another smoke on site. They know that there is some form of setup, and TDK opts just to go back to B instead, which we know is the safest choice. There are no CTs here. They won't find any resistance, and it should be an 8th round because GenOne's money is in the bin, and they're going to be saving. Right, it's a retrieval mission for the AWP at mid. Jocko gets his mitts on it. Axile probably heard the weapon switch. And there's an okay amount of money on some of these individuals, so TDK could probably invest 2 lives if they want, moving into the next round.
You just gotta credit how TDK have been able to piece this one together. I mean, I think you're exactly right there, Mac, with the setup there to send in Axile. 90% of the time you probably do, and you could probably shave off a rifle or 2, but with how silent the B bomb site is, they never jump the gun. You know, they don't want to expend too much utility or bodies if they don't have to. You put it back into a 3-on-4, maybe even consider a retake, no matter what the situation is, and that completely changes how you kind of proceed. But here's the replay again. Oh my goodness. It feels like he's also almost in the air in some situations there as well. This is just bizarre.
Ugh. Nasty. Just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Online CS spray. But you'll take it. If you're a TDK fan, you are cheering right now. They are making Anubis look so easy on the T side. We'll see if they can make it happen on that second half as well. Still hunting for 9. And GenOne as well with that 3-weapon save. We'll still have a nice and healthy buy here coming into the final round of the half. Not doing anything too aggressive in the early round this time. Adapting, staying a bit more passive. Brooksy is getting right up in the grills of that smoke, hoping that someone disrespects it. With that A-main smoke fading from the T's as well, we are going to see the 2 CTs maybe look for a pick shortly. In the meanwhile, though, posturing, you can see that B site may be under fire shortly. They've also got the mid lurk on Nafany. If he can take out Chucky here, which he won't, that would have been nice, but Chucky going to be happy with this. Jocko as well. Again, aggressive in behind this con smoke. And it's only a matter of time before this one fades and 3 Ts get right up in his face.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the good thing for the GenOne side is that you've got A main control, and now they're pushing through. They push through their own Molotov. So Brooksy's got all the flanks right in front of him. Nearly misses, but still finds 2 in the whole process, and that's still fantastic. Masuda's there for the trade, and Xanter's now up in a 1-on-3. Finds out Chucky. 25 seconds left on the clock, so he's definitely got to get a move on, but another AW picked up. And that should be it. 4 rounds still found for GenOne at the CT side half end as we throw ourselves to a little bit of a break.
Welcome back to the second half between TDK and GenOne. If you aren't familiar with them, get familiar with them because they are bringing in some solid ideas and some solid CS. But who's going to take the second pistol here on Anubis? And is it going to be GenOne? Can they quickly close this round gap? Because they're going to have to if they want to win this one.
Absolutely, and very similar style to that of TDK's T-sided pistol, where they're going to take mid control and potentially pounce into this A bomb site. But now that Lurk's looking, maybe it's a wrap into Temple into B. There are still 3 players here, and you've got a player all the way back in spawn to watch this wrap. So TDK are aware of this possibility while they've left mid open. Now it's just about making sure that they can plug up this potential gaping hole that's now being abused by GenOne.
There's that contact, and in comes the many-man swing out of Temple, finding the player over towards the hieroglyphics, as well as out of E-Box. It makes Nafany's job a little bit awkward at CT, not aware of Axile. He doesn't hard clear the stairs. And things go from bad to worse. Zorte, in the meanwhile, going for the Giga flank from a main, or B main even, and Nafany is still hunting for an angle, hunting for a fight, which he will get eventually, but there's just too many men swarming on him. And at this point, you just lock it in. Play back sight, fully tuck, and just try and deny Zorte any form of aggression. 3 men swinging at the same time makes his life incredibly difficult, and GenOne going to be able to pick up that T-pistol.
CT-sided pistols are just so difficult to call, I feel like. I mean, I don't necessarily like giving up mid like that, but I don't even think it's a ridiculous thing to give up that position, especially if you're watching it. It's just your headshots do have to really be on point. I mean, the window and the room for error is so minute for the player back pillar and the player watching the CT flank as well. I mean, if they're not connecting instantaneously, then they just get swarmed. Like, that's just the nature of T swinging into you. And I mean, I guess your other option is what, you play a couple mid, and then what, you if you don't win the gunfights there, it's a very similar round result. So good on GenOne there to take the map control that they were given and capitalize upon it, and now they're teed up for cutting this lead down to just 2 rounds.
They've gone the right way. Flash doesn't connect, but regardless, it doesn't matter because there is no CTs here that needed to be blinded. And they're going to go for the full rotation. Will we see something Spirit-esque? Obviously a flash in play, but no kit. So I doubt we're going to see that, and it should just be exits on the beach. Just enjoying the summer while they can. It's cold as hell here in Europe at the moment. And that flash will do it. Get that 1 pick onto Jocko. Potential for a Galil into the next. That can save yourself a little bite. A little bit of firepower. And GenOne going to be happy just to gift 1 rifle across. Handshake for the round. And keep 4 Galils alive instead.
Xanter would have liked to take 1 as well, but everybody on the T side exiting through A main. And as Xanter moves back in through mid, he'll be taken out through the window. And GenOne will be happy with this result. No AWP, I believe, for Zorte here. A guy that you want to have that sniper as quickly as possible and get that defense looking as flashy as possible. But yeah, they're just going to have to make do with that extra Galil. I'm curious to see how they move around with this default on the CT side now. When they're in a 5 rifle, they will go for a little bit more of an aggressive play. Xanter peering in through the canals and having that deep T step smoke. And to counter that, GenOne will just go charging in through the A side of things, and they'll catch the fadeaway. Brucey with a nice one, but Xanter with an immediate trade.
I guess they're going to be happy to play slightly more aggressive with the Galils. It was a shame no one was there fighting with him. Could have been an easy trade right back, but it's a main that they are after, and the jumping fadeaway. Axile hoping he can get away, but he won't be able to this time. 2v2, CT's swarming in. Zorte on the front side, hoping to buy time for Xanter to flank on up. But the T's haven't made their way in yet. Still a flash to try and break the line. That'll come across the top. Zorte at the new box. Oh, isolates the fight, but Chucky will survive. Hitting 2 headshots is more than enough, and Xanta slowly but surely looking to win this on the flank. Chucky already softened up, and NBK, he is tucked perfectly behind the pillar. Can swing on Chucky's contact, which he doesn't even need to. Chucky, big couple of kills there to win the round. 3-piece for him, and a 3rd in the row for GenOne.
Yeah, necessary for Chucky's confidence specifically. I mean, it just feels like he's been so unlucky in this game when he was on that CT side, being the opposite end of so many insane aim duels taken from the TDK side. But now, I mean, you get a solid couple of trades into that A bomb site. You lock down the 1-on-2 potential there for TDK, and all of a sudden, you know, you're back into a round. Back within a round, rather, and a chance to potentially run away with this one with the amount of momentum that they're gaining. Of course, still a long way to go, but when you're on the offense like this and you start to feel it, you saw what TDK were able to do, and you could expect very similar things out of the French as well.
Yeah. Let's see if the aggression is going to be the answer. Oh, Brooksy tucked in the corner has men coming from every direction, straight above him, straight behind him. And Chucky, he's got that AWP online, but he might not be able to use it. Missed opportunity to try and find another pick, but the dry peek from Xanta may have offered them an answer towards this B site. 2 CTs already making their way back in, though, to try and help out Nafany. And that's not going to go super well. Sugar with that retrieved AK makes light work of the B main individual. Now we're down to a 2v4. GenOne, they are in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got utility, but with how little bodies that you have, you've got to take some duels and shave off the defense as much as possible.
Yeah.
The walk up in through mid here, and they've got a couple of CTs on the other end, but as soon as a smoke or anything is dropped here, they are going to swarm through that, and that's when things turn from bad to worse. They're just going to completely bypass him. It looked like the shoulder peaks did not give enough information, or maybe it did. Nafany's still here on the rotation, player from A-Main coming back through, and there's just a matter of mere moments. He spotted Chucky, and now he can capitalize. Nafany should have the round in the palm of his hand, and sure, he doesn't find the second, but Sugar will secure it. What a huge eco victory there for TDK, and it just felt like GenOne were finally grasping the situation, and that's when the swarm in the canals comes through and ruins the party.
I actually love that out of TDK. They were so proactive. Look at this move. You've got one player at mid just holding on as 3 search in water at the same time. After you showed so much presence, you got that pick at B. You just reroute back to mid. You try and re-clear together. You have like 1 player going towards beach, 2 re-clearing through camera, and you just time that to perfection. So TDK winning a huge one, which look at the state of their economy now. They've managed to get themselves a couple of upgrades with 3 players surviving. And then off the back of that as well, they've still got 3 players that can purchase into the next. So that is a great situation to find yourself in.
Yeah, dream situation now for TDK. You'll have multiple buys in the tank, and more importantly, you put a lot more pressure on GenOne to get some openers here. And they're going to go through their own mid-smoke to see if they can challenge Zorte's AWP, but Zorte smartly backs away, understands the situation, knows that if he gets swarmed and he does give away that sniper, this A bomb site is extremely under threat. And they try to switch it up. They move back into Axile watching in through camera, but I don't think he's aware of how close they can be. Tosses in the nade and definitely spots things out, but now it's all on the NBK to really find an opening here for the GenOne side, and he goes down.
Yeah, things getting quite awkward, but A main is what we see TDK playing for. Oh, but the reaction, perfect out of Nafany. Coming through with the 2-piece Axile as well, activating. And you could see that after that 1 step that was made at mid by GenOne, everyone just scurried to try and get into better positions. And TDK, they came out on top. So reactive is how they played it, and it still worked out way better than what GenOne was hoping for.
Yeah, certainly. But now is a situation for GenOne where you're running really quickly out of opportunities, and this is probably your last great one. You still don't have the complete package of utility and weaponry that you're looking for, but you're just gonna have to make this one work. Passive play outside A main, but as this molly fades, Axel will get pushed back and they'll play ahead of the smoke yet again. Sound cue's given, and so that nade will land and do some significant damage. And you're gonna have to just go off the back of this. Here come the T's.
Making their way forward. Brooksy finally creating some space. Bomb is a while away. Doubles down, but Nafany will arrive on the scene just in time. Can he stop any more damage from being done? Chucky stopping the flank. And I think they've got the info on Nafany's position at least. So looking like to slow it down. Respect that smoke in con. And I like this move out of Nafany as well. Blocking con, going for the reroute and taking B main control for the retake will be effective unless GenOne do exactly what they're doing, which is going all the way through T-spawn to split into B instead. NBK falling. They know Nafany is going to be hanging around. But Nafany's now looking the right direction. Crosshair, maybe not poised on the right spot, but there's that info. Package, not quite spotted, but he will hear both sets of footsteps. And Zorte has a while that he's got to close.
I don't really know how he can, to be honest. He's going all the way around through A main, interrupt into B main. And he has gotten here pretty quickly, despite taking this long route the other way. And he gets a freebie on a Chucky because of that. But how aware is he about how close Jocko is? Well, Jocko still gives that sound cue away immediately. Zorte can now switch over to the rifle and take the duel, and he wins out the 1-on-2. Great proactivity there from Zorte to get to B main as fast as possible, but some splendid shots there as well on the tail end. And if you're GenOne, you really want that one back. That might just be the map in and of itself.
That's it, right? Like, Anubis is kind of a smaller map. Like, you're thinking like Overpass, if you try and do something like that, it's going to waste 25 seconds as opposed to for you to get into a position like that. Whereas Anubis, he was like towards bottom mid, then I think bomb was planted when he was in T-spawn. By that time, it only took him another 5 or 10 seconds to actually get that first pick at B main. So he had a lot of time to play with, given the situation, and was able to split up both those T's in the post plant. So yeah, TDK going to be patting him on the back for winning that clutch, putting them on 11, and then also putting a bit of a stop to that T economy. The French are not going to be happy with the money they currently have.
Yeah, they'll be happy with the bomb plant for sure. So you'll have pistols and some utility to probably have a little bit of an execute. Maybe you just call an A execution off rip and see if you can catch some of these CTs in transition. Hope that you can play a post of some sort, pick up some guns, but
yeah, we're
getting into that desperate situation territory now. But don't even have too many Molotovs to push off these CTs either, so it's gonna be a real difficult round to conjure up here with long-range Tech 9s essentially having to do a lot of heavy lifting. And we haven't really seen these pistols pop off for the Frenchmen as much as it has for TDK.
Zorte.
That's a nice space.
That's a good amount of information. There's a lot of Tech 9 starting to swing into the corner. However, there is a crossfire established. Nafany able to tag, and it looks like Sugar's going to be the one to bag. Bomb stuck in a rough position. And Chucky doesn't want to fully throw away the round, so he will back away with the space they already created and try to regroup with Jocko and Masuda. But how do you get back into a round like this? They've done almost no damage onto TDK, and TDK have barely even used their utility at the minute mark.
And the best part is for TDK is that they were proactive enough to re-clear out mid and make sure that there's no straggling T-sided player, so they can get back into their original setup, not have to worry about this initial mid flank, and just set up into B and take down these pistols.
Ooh, okay. Nice angle found by Masuda. Xanta flashed off, couldn't initially trade, but he just buys more than enough time for the troops to flood right back in. There's 12 on the board. And there will be a buy, a final buy for GenOne into what could be the final round of Anubis.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want the AWP here, actually no, Joko would be glass, so that doesn't necessarily even work out. So you're gonna have to make it work here with this Mobile 5 rifle unit, but right now, just doesn't feel like there's that extra spark on the T side for GenOne. I mean,
yeah.
On TDK's end, you had multiple ideas flowing. You had Zorte giving you openers, Xanter, Nafany, even Axile. there were so many options for this Russian side, but for GenOne, they're still trying to figure out who that guy is, and maybe with a faster tempo here in the E-box, they can figure it out. It's got to be Brooksy here to take down Sugar in the early round.
So weird going through the smoke like that. Sugar aware that there's a second man and he'll find it. It's the molly from Masuda to go for the trade. And there is still 2 more CTs on the backside. Nafany going to be flashed on the Ninja. And Masuda has a big job to do. Xanta locking down the back of sight. CT smoked off, which makes the fight so much harder for GenOne. Chucky will find something, but that's all they'll get. 13-7. It was a huge map for TDK, and GenOne just couldn't keep up on that T side.
Yeah, and I mean, you can just see the classes, the different level of classes between these two sides as of right now. And TDK just showing a great understanding of how to play that T side. Yes, you had a couple of slower rounds that kind of fell apart, but when TDK had all the momentum, they really knew what they were doing on that offense, and then switching over to the defense, just comprehensively more exciting on their end. So I'm excited for this TDK lineup. Let's see if they can potentially cause a sweep as we move over into our next map of Inferno. Again, we're going to take a little bit of a break when we come back. That second map.
Welcome back to ESL Challenger League Season 51, where we are one map deep between two of the titans of the upper bracket. Here we got GenOne up against TDK, and it's going to be a fiasco once we jump into Inferno. Hopefully, GenOne are going to be able to turn this around on their map pick. Look, they are French, and so far, the French have been doing pretty bloody good on Inferno, so keen to see what they can do up against TDK to try and turn this around. But of course, before that, let's talk about Anubis and just how insane of a performance that was from TDK.
Yeah, I think it's just top to bottom the performance that you're kind of looking for the CDK side. Nafany called a fantastic map of Counter-Strike, and he fragged a pretty good map of Counter-Strike as well. 18-4 with 100 DAR. I mean, it's pretty much the dream for an IGL to have this kind of a stat line, and the rest of your rifle core also above like 13 to 14 kills across the board. So I think for TDK, they really never broke a sweat throughout that entire map pick of theirs. And now we look forward to an Inferno where, yes, I think a slower paced map like this can sometimes be a little difficult for Nafany to figure out. But I'm hoping with what I've seen from Anubis, some improvements in his calling style, where he is willing to up the tempo a little bit more. And when his opening players get the openers they're looking for, players like Xanter, they are exploding off the back of that, and I think that is simplifying and making this T side look a lot more dangerous compared to iterations past. And so I'm hoping that this is going to lead to a competitive Inferno. But for GenOne, it just feels like they've got to get a lot of individuals woken up right now, because they are getting just outgunned in a lot of situations, regardless of what kind of reads they have.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their, at least TDK's Inferno performance as of late. In the last 6 months, they've only played it 4 times, including in their old team as well, and it's just not looking super good. So on paper, it should be an easier bounce back for GenOne, considering they've got relatively, high strike rate. It's 50% in the last 3 months, but they've also taken on a whole bunch of teams from all across Europe, so they are going to be well versed. And look, overall, it still looks a little bit better than what it does for TDK. However, TDK, as we saw, are hitting everything, pulling off some nice little clutches, pulling off some nice individual efforts and crazy little spray transfers as well. So if we can get that again from TDK, then it might not all be sunshine and rainbows for GenOne once we move into Inferno. And also, look, at tier 2, it can definitely get a little messy, like we kind of saw in a couple of those rounds on Anubis. So that's a place where I feel like TDK thrives more so than GenOne.
Yeah, and I think for GenOne, I think they'll be happy with the style of play Inferno lends itself to be. It allows for Jocko to have these like pocket plays for himself where he can get a little bit more aggressive than usual. And it was a real cornerstone of his play style with 3D Max, with Double Pony, where he's able to get up close and personal on the defensive end, and it would really cause some concern for T defaults throughout their halves on Inferno. And I think that paired up with the fact that Chucky can play a slower pace of game and really get set a little bit more on the defense will also be better for them moving forward. So I think there's just a lot of pieces that would probably thrive in this environment a little bit more than how pacey Anubis was all throughout. And I don't know, I think it's just a lot more difficult these days to explode off of Inferno contact as you did in previous maps that we have in the pool. But I mean, I'm not going to say it's not explosive at all. We've definitely improved a lot in that, and you see a lot more saves still with how this map plays out. But yeah, there's still a lot more of setup that has to be involved, a lot of rotations that have to come in the mid round, and I think that's going to really be great for GenOne's chemistry, something that they hopefully can kind of rely on a little bit more, and something that was desperately missing on that first map.
Yeah, and also there's just more reps. There's more, I guess the utility might be a little bit more structured, a bit more stratted out as well. There was some utility that I felt was missing, and also like not missing just from the repertoire, but also missing in the game as well, which I'm hoping we don't get to see too much of that on Inferno. They got way more reps, they've got a lot of experience on this map, and probably more ideas to play too. Now, for me, I'm going to be looking at TDK and how they play. I'm assuming they've started CT side. They could start T side. A lot of players do love the T side. Historically, Inferno is one of the maps that does still lend itself T side at the top level. But who knows? Who knows? You know, with GenOne coming in, we'll see what they end up pulling off. But yeah, if TDK do start on that CT side, I did enjoy how they were being proactive on the CT side. You know, we talk about the round where they won on the eco up against the full buy from GenOne, and that was just when they were being proactive. They were going in with numbers and being very, very mobile across the map, just constantly going and clearing out different parts and then giving up some control to go and take some back. And I really like that. I feel like Inferno is one of those maps where you really got to do that, especially over towards that A site. Like, you give bracket control, you take it back. Then when they throw utility, you sort of give it again, and then you got to take it back again. And I feel like that's something that I'd like to see TDK throw into the mix. But GenOne as well, look, I'm sure they've got more on this map than what we saw previously.
Yeah, and it's clear to me that they understood how Anubis should be played, and that is trying to take as much canals control in the defensive end, no matter, you know, aggression through a main or flying out through a window, or, you know, taking a duel through E-box. But the fact of the matter is you've got to stick with that identity for as long as possible. They definitely deviated from it a lot more on Anubis once it didn't work once or twice, and I think that they just weren't able to adapt accordingly. I think on Inferno, you've got a lot more options to bust out on CT side.
Yeah.
You know, deep banana control, apartment setups, bracket setups as well. Like, the world is your oyster, and eventually you can basically conjure up a setup or two to make things work. We did have a couple of fantastic highlights in this game, particularly the Nafany transfer there that still doesn't make really much sense no matter how much you speed it up or slow it down.
Yeah.
But I think this entire map and all these highlights that you kind of see here, it's nothing that blows you out of the water per se, but it's just so many free multi-kills for some of these TDK guys that you got to call into question some of the pushback from the French side, and hope that they'll be a little bit tighter in their spacing again, moving into Inferno as well.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Like, you look at those highlights, there was the two key moments for me was that eco win, and then also the clutch from Zorte. They were at moments where the T economy wasn't really healthy at that moment, and then the next round following, it just forced them into weird positions. It allowed the CTs to build up their economy, and when the CT economy is solid, that makes it so much easier for them just to close out the game, because you have that room for error, you have that extra confidence behind you, you know you can make some extra plays, and if they don't work, you can just change up the strategy moving into the next round. And look, Inferno is not too far away, so we'll see if those little mistakes are going to be made by GenOne, or if it all gets cleaned up, if it all gets turned on its head, because this is their map selection, and we want to see it look like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they definitely have a better shot on this one if you are a French fan. But for TDK, they'll be looking to notch 10 points up in the VRS if they could, or sorry, 10 ranks up, I should say, not even points. It's 28 points in total, but it'd be fantastic for them to jump up into the top 100 pretty safely. And this is a ripe opportunity when you think about even their placement in the bracket as well. You know, just a game away from the grand finals, and of course we speak about the EPL spots up for grabs in the cup finals if they can get there.
Yeah.
So a lot on the line here for TDK. I think more so than GenOne, and you can kind of see that in their gameplay. They're just a little bit more hungrier right now, and they're playing with this little pep in their step that GenOne can't really keep pace up with right now.
And look, unfortunately, Inferno is going to be a little bit longer, and to get there, we got to go to a short break. But after the break, Inferno just around the bend.
I'll keep going till my speaker tone blows. I'll keep going till my speaker tone blows. I'll keep going till my till my speaker tone. I'll keep going till my speaker tone blows. 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 Till my speaker come. I'll keep going till my speaker come blow. I'll keep going till my speaker come blow. I'll keep going till my speaker come blow. I'll keep going till my speaker come blow.
The road to the top is a riddle. What will be my destiny? Money and fame are awaiting, but not enough is raining on me. Maybe I should give it all up. How much more can I take? Out here singing to the heavens. When I gonna get my break? I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. How will I get out of the jungle? Everybody wanna stop me. 10 more steps up the mountain. Now everybody's looking for me. Spend my life in the desert till something changed inside of me. Now I'm flying over oceans. Everybody looking at me. I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Full power, get louder. I'ma get strong, just watch me. Full power, get louder. I'ma get strong, just watch me. Every hour.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I've got good news. The game is back. The game's live. Steam's stopped steaming. Well, started steaming even. And we got a Steam train running ahead. And let's see if it's going to be GenOne or TDK. Ooh, action straight towards second mid. Sharky going to be 2-tapped. And Masuda looking like he will see the same fate, but will fall away with 12 health.
I like the aggression. I like the idea to play in front of all that utility, but they take a face full of lead and straight away a 5-on-4 for TDK. Minimal damage taken. They've got all their utility that they still have in their back pockets. And you've got Masuta down to just 12 HP. Now, if you're Nafany, you can slow the pace of this round down, take map control, and play it like it's a standard rifle round. And look at that. There's an automatic gamble being taken from GenOne to move over to that B bomb site. And with the perfect execution that's on display now for TDK, they'll get themselves a bomb plant, and they'll put themselves in a very powerful position to play out this initial pistol round.
I think it may just be the full save as well.
It's possible.
You've got, what, Masuda, does he have, I don't know if he's got full armor. There's no way to check here. But there is at least Jocko who's got that free upgrade to the helmet. You got Julie's there, a flash, and a kit. So that is some things, and some of those things as well on Inferno are quite powerful. You know, you get some armor, you may be able to get yourself, what, MP9, MP7, whatever you're going for these days, and a chance to potentially have a as good of a buy as anything moving into the next. Ooh, Brooksy falling. Doesn't really matter too much. You've still got Jocko, who seems to be the president. You want to keep him safe. And Masuda going to be able to take another name there from Nafany. But TDK, you're going to be happy to handshake, take the round, keep 3 alive. 2 of their players also untagged, so that's free upgrades and potentially better guns like the AK, which you are going to see purchased up. And let's see what GenOne saved the armor and the flash for. It is going to be that force.
Yeah, and that's the only real thing that you can do right now if you're GenOne. You want to make sure that this T side from TDK does not blow out of control like Anubis was. And I really like that TDK opted in for the T side start. This is one of those maps where if you can set the tempo, you can just like chain together 6 or 7 rounds. Unfortunately, I had to say that, but you know, keep moving.
Let's see what MBK has for us here. One of them crazy TikTok nades just to punish anyone going towards the top of Banana, but We know that we are going to see the Russians make their way towards A first instead. Smoke towards long. And Brooksy in a power position with the swag 7, although is going to maybe get ran down. Yeah, misses the mark too many times. And that's going to be the A site cracked open completely. Free upgrade from the Mac 10 to the FAMAS, and the site's already cleared out. GenOne happy probably just to save, maybe get some exits, and just carry these weapons across to the next.
Yeah, not something that you want to do. I mean, GenOne already playing pretty conservatively in these post-plan situations, and I don't blame them. I mean, that's just the nature of this map sometimes, and you just gotta think about the future possibilities and saying that we can still make a 5-7 in armor very potent in the following round. We can still make an MP9 potent as well, but they can't do anything in this one, unfortunately. It's just a little bit of a lean over to that B bomb site and really counting on that Mag 7 to do a lot of heavy lifting, and it's just not gonna come to be. If you miss that first shot, it's just it's all the excitement of that setup just falls away.
And look, as engaging as Inferno can be with big saves like that, you can also see what happens off the back of it, right? You've got some slight investment from Brooksy and Masuda. They're going to go for the full nade buy. But where are these HEs going? Are we going to see a stack towards Banana? TDK just going to miss that again and put more focus back towards the A site, because that seems to be where the weakness has lied so far for GenOne. There's a couple of nades. Nice and deep over towards Broom, but no one was there. No one from TDK. Got too aggressive towards Banana early, and with those HEs, GenOne, well, they were already thinking about going for the wrap. Wait, Jocko, no, he's just gone and retrieved another HE from spawn. And that'll get a juicy bit of damage onto Axile, but all in all, you've still got this 3-man set up towards long. GenOne hoping that TDK walk into the trap at some point.
Moto Smoke will come in, or at least the Arch Smoke will come in initially. And that really causes some concern for that setup. It forces them to move back into A, and all that excitement and build up kind of goes away. You're hoping that this boost could potentially find you something, but they're not even taking brackets specifically, so maybe you just call a gamble and you rotate over to that B bomb site. And they're considering it, having the players lean back and forth. They'll try to potentially hard clear it and go back, but they're running out of time here because TDK have gotten up to car, and sure, they'll be smoked off, but you still have a nade to blow open the smoke, and you can still burst in this B bomb site at a moment's notice.
Oh, and just enough vision left off trap smoke to find those entries. Jocko, another found, and that's good damage so far. Still a P250 and a 5.7 to maybe lay down the law. But Sorte is going to be sending those bullets right back. Pre-firing the tight line. Chucky couldn't do a thing about it. And Masuda, no armor, 27 health. 1 bullet will do it for sure, although that's a cheeky dink onto Sugar. He's guessing. Will force them just to play a little bit safer. Xanta hears those footsteps, reacts in the nick of time, and TDK steady the ship to keep 3 alive and get that 3rd on the board.
Yeah, a little worrying there, but again, you get up car that safely. You still have a nade to boot whenever you want to blow open that smoke. That's really the only way the round goes sideways for TDK, and that's if you don't have the nade and you have to go full gray screen. NBK is probably the snake ass there, doesn't get caught out, and maybe you're off to the races there if you're the defense, but not to be this time around. And already starting to see just the same level of poise and formality from TDK with going about these rounds, and that makes me excited for this T side so far. Rio, Dream, and not really losing too many bodies, meaning you got plenty of bites at the cherry here to keep the pressure up. No car control initially for this T side, but they're happy to retake it. They've done it multiple times in this half so far, and they'll get it no matter what.
Half 4 flash lined up. Axile popping through with that one. In the meanwhile, action towards mid at the same exact time. Sugar going to get caught off. Axile falling. And that's 2 big picks for GenOne, putting them in a great position to finally find that first round they've been looking for.
You got to split in from Chucky to rotate back into the B bomb site, and a little bit of a timing here, and back spotted. That should be calmed over. There's a flanking player in Masuta also coming in from alt, but they've still managed to miss him, and Xanter will get around the corner just in the nick of time. But sure, you've dodged 1 bullet, but there's plenty of hurdles on the other side of the map. B bomb site's got plenty of bodies. Chucky makes that rotation, and all 3 players on the B bomb site get a kill apiece to start off the proceedings here for GenOne. Very well put together, and for TDK, can't get into positions where they can find some openings to really put the pressure on.
Yeah. Sneaky couple of crossfires towards that B site. Nice little picks everywhere. And again, Chucky just staying mobile across the map to keep them guessing where the AWP is. Love that out of GenOne to find their first round, but they need a few more to keep us confident of them at least coming back into the half, or maybe finding many more here on the CT side. TDK so far, again, the rifling core just looking so damn sharp round to round. And a lot of the time, like, they're only finding the 2 entries, the 3 entries, and then GenOne, they're just saving, worried about their economy. So we'll see if anything changes this time. Heavy short setup from GenOne. Able to assist each other if need be. There's that deep long smoke for TDK. Molly on the choke. Just waiting out that util. There's one of those nasty nades from NBK, which does get a good chunk of damage onto 2 of those players.
They disassembled the porch setup, and I don't really know what dissuaded them. I guess lack of utility, meaning that they can't cycle and hold on to that position as long as possible. They move back to Arch with that AWP for Chucky, so if they want to lean back to B and have that 3-player setup, there's a possibility, but you're hoping, if you were TDK, for Sugar to cause a bit of a ruckus and cause some rotations to come back the other way, but he hasn't really made any noise, and that allows for Chucky to come back the other way. 30 seconds left on the clock. It looks like it's got to end B here, and again, you got to go into this 3-player stack here, man.
Yeah, they have gone for a slight gamble, but gamble's going to pay off. Chucky taking his head through the smoke, finds Axile, and the rifles. Just too much to get past. 7 seconds. You are not planting. You are not getting through this defense, and you are not taking the round. GenOne find themselves a second as TDK scurry away to save both these AKs.
Yeah, and just too telegraphed there from TDK. No real brackets pressure applied throughout that round. There was some feigning here and there, but I don't think they're aware of how many times GenOne are willing to re-clear that position and understand that TDK are going to commit to B and can cause that 3rd rotation to come through.
Yeah.
So if I'm GenOne, keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting those mid re-clears, but if you're TDK, you're going to have to bite the bullet and say, let's try to take some bracket space earlier on here and put some pressure and force the CT side to make some hard decisions and throw out util, re-clear that position with some bodies.
Well, speaking of bodies, all 5 for TDK are sending it towards B this time. Nafany has a bit of util, which he will just pump in. And here comes that retake set. They're not going to be in a position to retake at all. Beautiful flash opens that one up. And now you can see Chucky a little worried, a little hesitant, and also a little burnt as that molly just sends him packing into the church. They're going to have to go for a man disadvantageous retake, but there's still 2 extra smokes here on the tees to fend off GenOne. And GenOne, they're just going to call it. They know that that B site's so hard to retake with 5 players in it, so they just save.
Yeah, in their mind, they have no idea what the buy really looks like. And sure, there are some concessions to be made with Nafany's Tech 9, but even the potency of that gun in close range is still very dangerous. So, smart decision for GenOne. They've been playing this game pretty conservatively, I would say, but it's still been, in my opinion, the right decisions to make when they have been calling the save. That's just the nature of how they should be approaching this. And you already see the potency of the rounds once they do keep the guns up in the following. So TDK manufacturing a good one here, but GenOne will still have a dog in this race just with how much they were able to save into this one and how much cash they've been able to hold on to for quite a long bit of time. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, Steam still has some significant issues, and we're losing players like flies.
Yeah, that's a rough one. Gonna have a quick tactical, which probably will be turned into a technical. On the players reconnect. A little bit of match medic. And off the back of that, we will keep playing. But alas, hopefully that doesn't take too long. Steam, yeah, I opened it up to see what was going on, and it just keeps on going down. People in chat are complaining about it. Seems to be affecting people everywhere. So it is a rough situation. Seems like the servers are just a little bit wacky tonight. It happens. Look, it happens. Welcome to the internet.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Feels like GenOne finally starting to have like a little bit of a handle on things in some senses. Like, you are getting Chucky a lot more involved in where he needs to be.
Yeah.
You're getting the riflers a little bit more ahead, like NBK's dueling a little bit more forward. So I feel like the tech pauses like these just really get under your skin, especially if you're down a map where you're just like, I want to get back at it and redeem myself instantaneously. On the flip side, I mean, it's frustrating for TDK as well. You just want to continue your winning ways, get the series over with while you've got the iron being as hot as it is, and you just gotta sit in here and hope that the reconnects work and you can get back off to the races quickly.
Yeah, that's it. Just gotta make sure you take every opportunity. It'll be interesting to see if TDK do something similar to what we saw on Anubis, which would be off the back of the technical, just come out of it with some harsh sight bust again. Maybe a B rush, maybe fast second mid to 8. We'll see, we'll see. But we do have a couple of highlights to quickly look at while we are waiting for this to be all sorted on out. Let's see, again, what we have already seen so far this game. Sneaky moments. Crazy little crossfires. And Chucky, you did say he had, well, you were hoping he was going to get more chances to be activated here. And so far, all of his kills, even though there's only 3, it feels like every one of those has been impactful to get these rounds on the board.
Yeah, and again, like for me, in this day and age with how opping is working, it's really all about not necessarily who's the flashiest and who's got like the crazy good accuracy. It's who's creating the most opportunities for themselves across a map of CS. You could see that in Anubis, Chucky just was not creating enough opportunities for himself to be at the right place at the right time. But I definitely feel like on Inferno, you can see a player that has generated those opportunities, and now he's finally capitalizing on them. So you see a completely rejuvenated CT side where the side anchors look a lot more confident, knowing that they've got a sniper to peer down an angle for them.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, again, just makes things look a lot more pretty for GenOne moving forward. So we'll see if we can keep that up, because this side definitely needs it to keep up with the surprisingly up-tempo style that you're getting from TDK throughout this series as well.
Unfortunately, we've got good news. We are back with round 7. Let's see if it is going to be that faster approach, if TDK are going to, you know, stem the momentum GenOne may find off the back of a technical, a big pause like that. You can see they were very invested in going for that banana control, but will fall the whole way back, baiting out a lot of that GenOne util. Booster up the top in smoke and won't find anything for Chucky other than information. TDK forced to play a little slower.
Still Chucky pressed up against apartments to see if he can get one and fall away. But Very nice early set of util for GenOne down banana to net themselves that positioning. And puts the onus back on a Xanter here on brackets to see if he can find an opening himself. But so far, it's just a lot of humming and hawing here for TDK. Finally, they push the go button to get some car space. But an insta-smoke. NBK doesn't want to give it up, so we continue to seesaw back between these two sides as now brackets is the name point of attack, and Chucky now again with another opportunity potentially.
I like this. 30 seconds looking for info. Clearing mid, however, Sugar standing tall and ready. Do they expect the second man? Not just yet, especially not the third. Chucky and Jocko finding what they need to. Nafany, a cracker of an entry, and that's going to be the B site taken. But in the 3v3, GenOne this time going to be incentivized to go for the retake because the bomb still hasn't been planted and you got two players waltzing up banana.
Yeah, gotta take this one, but this is the fight that I think decides the round. Joko's got to be aware of the aggression from Nafany, and it's a real difficult clear to make, and he doesn't make it. Masuda still finds the banana lurk on the other end, but now Crossfire is established, Zorte can get activated, and Chucky, he was there to potentially trade, but with an AWP, it's just that much more difficult. Nade open on the smoke, no one's home. Chucky gets pressed close to new box, but can't find the instant dink. Zorte gets a free upgrade to an AWP, and TDK can continue to keep the good times rolling.
Yeah, things getting a little awkward in the mix of everything, but Nafany on low health, not only getting the entry, getting that pick on a Jocko, and then just staying alive, keeping GenOne guessing. Essentially the MVP for the round to get that one back in. GenOne looked like they did almost everything correctly, other than not clear tree, not get that free pick onto Nafany. And that is the one mistake that, in hindsight, probably cost them the round. Chucky still had money and will be able to pick the AWP up again, but doesn't get to use it down mid. Spots a player making their way into the tunnel. And everything's slowing down. Looking like GenOne want to hold on to their utility, knowing that TDK love to play a little slower.
But still, with that passive play means they're getting pushed off of positions pretty easily here in the early round. They've got to give up car early, and luckily for them, Chucky will play ahead of the arch smoke and Xanter right into his crosshairs. It's a great opener again from the Belgian, and now this is where you've got to cook something up if you're TDK. You've lost your solid entry, and now you've got to look to another way in opening up this bomb site. But it's just going to get a lot more difficult as we're now under a minute, and they're still waiting to waltz up the bracket side. They're still smoked out from apps. Now Molly up in lane. They're just getting stalled out from every which way.
Chucky in charge of that long wrap if it happens, but it might just be a bust in through the short smoke. CT's not quite ready. They are going to trade places. Nafany finds the first. I don't know if they spotted the second. Regardless, Masuta will get his head ripped off as he tried to make his way to pit. And with that in the 3v3, GenOne going to have to posture for the retake again. But again, TDK just in such good positions. You've got double pit. You've got that backside plant for pit. And you've got Nafany on half health. And you know what he's going to be able to do with not much health and confidence. It's just going to be that save again for GenOne.
I mean, you've got the cash, you've got the loss bonus built up. Have a look in. Very odd decision. I mean, I like playing conservative on this map, but there is a line that you kind of have to draw for yourself, and you don't want to cross it. And I think we're in that territory of playing too conservative right now for GenOne.
Well, Nafany going to go down to the explosion, but he's going to be happy just to keep himself in the lead, 6-2, having a solid start to this T side. And GenOne just finding themselves in weird situations. It was like Chucky was fully expecting that wrap on the long side, but TDK just make the right call, make all the right moves, get that pick on a Masuda, who can't lock it down from pit or even find a trade of any sort. And that's where things just went so wrong. I was going to say as well, like, there was that smoke at long at the start of the round, which allowed Chucky that pick. I think it was misthrown because there should never be a gap that big in it. And I
Right,
thought
it
that might
should
have
be
been
just
the
a
end.
hard arch smoke.
Yeah.
And they just weren't able to abuse that enough. I mean, I think, again, it's Chucky kind of misreading the situation and thinking that there might be a late arch wrap to come through, but it never does. And it's just a complete lane play that forces the two players on the site a pretty meager crossfire. So maybe a little bit of a miscommunication there, and this game continues to slowly unravel for this CT side. But we'll buy here to try and rectify things. They play ahead of the util. Axel is really up to bat, and he'll go down straight away. But the trades are nice. Jocko still responds. But we get out with the GenOne 4-on-3, and you've got a rotation coming through. So can't commit to B just yet if you're TDK. And for Chucky, you've got a lot of real estate here on the A side, but Xanter is just not letting go. Brooksy, though, will make it a very difficult clutch now for Zorte, and finally feels like we've got some normalcy in the game.
All right, Zorte, big clutch in the 1v2 over on Anubis. He's got a chance to do one better with 3 CTs to find, but 10 seconds, shoots off a warning shot, and will just opt to save this time instead, realizing they can't really afford to buy another AWP into the next. And there should be, what, him able to drop an AK. Everyone else can mostly buy themselves, so they can fashion something here, as GenOne will time out into a third, and they get it done this time.
Yeah, smart save there for Zorte. Definitely capable of winning that clutch, and actually had a little bit of a window, but we're talking 5-10% chance of winning that round, and
Yeah.
Sugar will absolutely have a purchase available now. Attack timeout being called by GenOne. I think they understand the owners of the situation. You finally pick the round back up after this string of T rounds on the other end, and I mean, you realize that you can get 4 or 5 rounds on this defense, you're right back in this 100%. I think this map has very quickly leaned T side in pro play over the last like 6 months to a year, and at this point, like, if you can just scrounge up any CT rounds, it feels like anything's enough to make a comeback if you can get the T pistol and the ball moving in the second half.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see if this can be another one of those rounds for GenOne. You know, on paper, you look at what TDK are bringing into this round. It should be easier for the Frenchies, but I don't know if it will be. Let's see. Missed opportunity with that AWP down mid. Axile disrespecting the util,
What?
but will gain himself banana control. Sugar, in the meanwhile, fully kill. I think, did Brooksy go 100-0 with a molly?
I think so. I don't know how that's happened.
Ooh.
I think maybe a flash in that situation, and look at the window that Sugar has to just walk out into the A side of the map. I don't know why they're dueling over on B when Sugar's found this much space. Of course, there's still one player here, a snake in the grass in Chucky, and I don't necessarily know if K are aware of this possibility, but finally he's spotted out. Gotta be just restricted to 1, and he absolutely is. Quick scope just a little off the mark, and Axile spotted out the final player. So TDK get back to it, and I hate to say it, but that 100-0 molly death might have just cost them the round. Look at how much space Sugar had there.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, if we can get a replay of it, maybe there's a world where he got naded as well and just couldn't quite get out. Maybe he was blind,
Right.
as you suggested. But yeah, and then that second pick as well just looked way too easy. That was just crazy. Crazy round out of Sugar to make that happen. Should never have really looked that easy with the Tech 9, but hey, sometimes the utility is just that little bit more on point than your opponents. And GenOne will rely on Jocko saving here to get that full buy into the next. They got enough to do so. So at least they'll have that going for them. But we were talking about how easy that round should have been for GenOne on paper, and here we are.
Yeah. I mean, lucky for them, Max Loss is still well and truly on, so he'll be able to have it. But let's check it out here.
Yeah, okay, there was a HE that
Yeah.
I think it was like a full 61 damage HE, and Brooksy was also disrespecting the molly at the same time, and he just was not getting away.
And that's the kind of difference that you're getting between these two teams. Utility is even on point here on Inferno as well. Nade up for the smoke, and Yoko actually finds the better of his opposing sniper. Anthony picks it back up, but can't really find the necessary tracer tracking this time around.
Ooh, okay. NBK finds the opening that's swiftly traded. Xanta swinging back just before the smoke blooms on the bottom of Banana, and Jocko's now got a harder job ahead of him. Volleyed off from Cart. We'll respect it. But GenOne still want to go hard on this A site. 3 players still there, stagnant, and worried about losing the bracket control, which is fair enough. You know, they've got the right inkling. C4 starting to move this direction, but now they shift into that 2-2 split. And Chucky doesn't necessarily have the best helping hand from Masuda, who's all the way back at pit. Not really in a crossfire that they can help each other out. On the B site, though, if they can get this pick onto Xanta, that makes life a little easier for GenOne.
I think Xanta's going to try to sell a bit of a fake here, tosses in that CT smoke, and may even die, but I think the consideration here from TDK is a potential wrap into this B bomb site, but they're doing this with 20 seconds left, so yeah, they're going to have to commit to A and leave Xanta as that sacrificial lamb. They're in. They do try to find both of these players, and they do.
Oh.
Now it's just Chucky stuck up in this. He's got 10 seconds left to just stay alive, but he's going to fight forward instead. Gets Axile off the bomb, and that's the round 1, just off the nature of Chucky. Oh my goodness, but there was still a second for another kill. I think Axile dies after time, potentially. I mean, he's still at 4,600, but yeah, great work there from Chucky to stay alive.
I think Exile definitely died after time, but fortunately had that fallback plan still in the bank. That got awkward as all hell, but GenOne just winning the fights they need to this time. I thought he was going to stick it. You know, he had the time, he had a little bit of cover, and was already about a second into the plant, but I guess, yeah, too worried that Chucky was going to swing and get him for free. Unfortunate for TDK, but hey, 7 on the T side already. Looking pretty plentiful. NBK going to be able to open up yet another round, and this time may not overstay his welcome. Jocko gets another tease, forcing their way through the top banana smoke, and it's not looked too good until Xanta finds one back. That's the bomb at the feet of NBK, and Sugar is not too far away from a swing into that crossfire. Chucky to close 7-5. GenOne in a position where they should be able to close this out in the second half, but to get there, we got a little break. We'll see you after this.
The road to the top is a riddle. What will be my destiny? Money and fame are awaiting, but not enough is raining on me. Maybe I should give it all up. How much more can I take? Out here singing to the heavens. When I gonna get my break? I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this town. Oh, I can run this just watch me. Go louder, get louder. I'ma get strong, just watch.
Inferno is heating up as expected. GenOne closing out a couple of extra rounds at the end of the first half, and now it's their turn to put on the brakes. Because we got some CTs running it straight down mid, and that's going to be a bit of a problem here. TDK just going to be taking a couple of names and causing so much mayhem. Completely disrupting anything that GenOne were trying to do. Bomb will make its way to apps, but again, there's already so much damage on these Ts.
I mean, how do you get back into this if you're the CT side? Caught in so many different islands for so many of these different players, but they'll still go into this A bomb site, and Nafany still has a chance to wreak some havoc here at the back of the default, but he gets absolutely eviscerated by Masuta. Huge entry back from the vet, and now it's just Axile in the 1-on-3, and they know where he's coming from. He came from that apartment side, still shaves it down to a 1-on-2, but terrified there's a pit site setup that he can't really dislodge, but if both players on site, they should be able to trade this one out pretty effectively. Time continues to rot away, and Axile does not have a kit either. And yeah, they'll find out the hard way that there is nobody in small pit, and GenOne get themselves a pistol after a really tough start. I mean, having all those CTs up in your face, it can be a pretty daunting task to overcome, but they make it look easy.
Yeah, look, that looked at a point unwinnable for GenOne, and somehow, you know, you got those two crazy shots from Masuda to bring it back. That first entry onto site was incredible just to get them back into the round, and it did more than enough to get that 6th for GenOne, which now puts them in a good position to start the half and maybe gain this lead. TDK going to be forcing straight into this one. Plenty of util, lots of 5-7s. Let's see if the stack on B is going to be the right read.
They're gonna have to hope that something suggests them to go back into B. But right now, car control established. If you're GenOne, you don't have to call it the immediate play. Brackets is completely silent. And you're hoping that Masuta can at least calm that back over and they can reclaim that positioning, but yeah, it's just a complete standstill at this point. I think GenOne are considering it, and now they'll move back over. So, right moves here, not over jumping the gun on this T side. And they should be aware with how much util has been tossed out at this point that something's afoot. There's got to be some sort of buy involved here.
I guess it's just about making the right read. Maybe sending NBK in to get as much information as possible. And if he does notice that A's clear, then surely you send it back. Surely you're not walking into the crossfire. Yeah, bomb making its way back to A. Molly on short. It's Jocko that's sent in to try and find this information. There's a swing on another man, and they haven't even seen the CT players just yet. It keeps Nafany around for just an extra couple of seconds. Sugar on short, maybe in the perfect spot to deny the plant, but it goes safe on site instead. With that pick, maybe there's a world where TDK can make this back in. Sugar and Nafany just causing so much mayhem. Completely chaotic on short. And that's going to just bait out every piece of util that GenOne have. Now they've got to set up the crossfire. 2 on site, 1 in pit. And 3 CTs still defined.
Rifles picked up, but again, no kit, and NBK not really facing makes things pretty difficult. Finally a body shown, but how do you get him out of pit is the question. The answer is you just don't. Sure, Zorte gets a pick back, but now he's just looking to save, and that's just not going to happen. GenOne with a worrying round there, but something that they will be happy to just be happy that they're done with.
And now comes the easy one. TDK should be down to just pistols. So we'll see if that's going to be the situation. Yeah. P250 Deagle. And Julie's in the mix, just going for that low buy. And again, stacking B. This time, bit of a high-low setup. Like you will see them flash back in. Ooh, NBK not going to be blinded in front of that flash pop. And he's going to be able to get, 2 of the 4 picks. Not too bad on that Mac 10. And it should be light work for the rest of the round. 1v4 for Zorte. He will probably just save the Deagle or find himself an exit.
So paranoid that there's an apartments player here, but Suta is all the way on banana. Any gun would be fantastic to pick up here for the sniper. But to no avail. He'll actually save this Deagle, which is just shocking to me that I don't really think that... I mean, I guess you're denying the potential SMG kill bonus on the other end, but...
Yeah.
Now, TDK with an opportunity to get back into this game because this hot start from GenOne, starting to see a lot better chemistry out of these guys than you saw in the rest of the series, and that changes things. That changes the path that GenOne have to get back into the series.
All right, let's see. First gun round. Can TDK make it happen? Well, not just yet. We are going to go into a quick technical. Just making sure everything's A-OK before, of course, we get underway with the first gun round, but it looks like it is just a short one. Time is ticking down. And Zorte does have the AWP online. Worth mentioning, 2 Mac 10s and a Galil still in play, and 3 of these CTs with no helmet could be a factor. So keep your eye on that one. 4 towards T-stairs for GenOne. Looking like there will be some early presence at Banana, given the bite. I believe they're happy to take a slight risk. Early smoke from the T's towards bottom Banana, just to extinguish the molly and give them extra space to play with. Missed opportunity, Zorte. His AWP's already seen, and it is just that explosive B hit. Straight in they go. There you have it. One of the players just gets absolutely domed by the Mac 10, and all 3 CTs on this side of the map are gone. It is Save City, and GenOne should have locked in a 9th.
Yeah, that's lovely work there from GenOne, and I mean, catches us all off guard with how up-tempo they cross that corner. As soon as they see Zorte missing a shot off of Banana, they just go in. They know that there's a potential setup. I mean, max it is 3, but you're guaranteeing 1 cut away into that CT smoke that there's no risk of that player coming back through the smoke ever. So you know that you have every bit of an advantage to split apart the defense on that B site. So very well called. Fantastic execution as well. And now you're starting to see a little bit more of that aggressive Jocko that makes him exciting, bounding through that CT smoke and ripping away another gun.
Yeah.
So everything kind of in GenOne's court now to take this one to a 3rd here.
Definitely some nice little W gameplay. But as mentioned, you want to be buying a helmet up against buys like that, and this is the perfect example. You just don't get that second opportunity to shoot a few more shots. I think the player on site may have also been caught with util out too, so things getting a little weird, a little wacky, but Chucky has found himself the upgrade to the AWP, NBK, and an A1S. And you've still got Masuda with that Galil in play.
I like this boost, especially if they give up car control like they have so many times. But a lot slower of an approach here from GenOne. Getting that aggressive play out in round number 16. They want to pump it very slowly here. Take brackets control, smoke off lane. And another really well put together round here for GenOne when you just got Sugar on this 5-7. And
Ooh.
yes, he's found one, but he's still only one man that cannot possibly repel this invasion with just a 5-7.
But if he does buy enough time, there might be a chance for Axile to bring the rifle across and maybe find some kind of impact. But so far, GenOne making some good reads on where these stacks are coming from. Sugar again with the 2-tap in a nice and fortified position there at Mini Pit. May be able to find some more, but won't finish off Chucky. Does that open the door for a potential retake here for TDK?
Yeah, you got a lot of utility. For if you're Xanter, you can cordon off the cubby side of things, but you have no kit, so you got to go about this a lot quicker than what they're going with right now. Xanter's going to try to burst through that arch smoke, but dump the utility and let's go.
Oh, double nade. Manages to deal with Masuda straight away. Jocko playing around the smokes, and it's going to be all up to him and Chucky. Axile finds the first man, but not the second, and needs to get on the package. But again, no hit, no chance at the round. It's just damage that they're after. And Jocko, he will fall to the explosion, but he wins a 10th for GenOne. 3 more to take us all the way to D2.
Yeah, it definitely feels like D2's calling at this point. I mean, issues with just how slow that retake comes together, and I think there's just so many options that TDK have that they aren't able to really figure it out, because you see how much utility that they have. You want to use all of it and make sure that there is no chance for this T side to feel comfortable, but it takes time to line everything up, toss it in, and still have proper spacing to make sure that you trade into the post plant. But GenOne holds strong. Chucky does a great job there to get kills back. They double into the sandbags, and the trades are fantastic here for GenOne. They get themselves a 3-on-3, and they want to keep going. They want to push it into Zorte straight away. Smoke up onto the new box to give him some space, and he hits a blinder. Huge kill from Zorte, but it's the only kill he'll find. Still got a 2-on-2, but if you're TDK, this one's a must-win.
Yeah, let's see here. Sugar slowing things down just to wait for Axile. Flash over coffins just to blind anyone facing from sight. HE, a good position. Big damage on a Masuda, and that Incend should force him out. Good timing on the flash. Incend finishes the job, and it's up to Chucky to try and cut them off at the pass on the way to site. Bomb planted close to him, but with that smoke, there's Axile. He's up on the sandbags. He's sticking it, and he'll wrangle it the whole way through. But it's the Glock to get the kill. Handshake at the end. Money in shambles for TDK if they lose this round, but they'll take a round.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't buy a round throughout this CT half, but finally something going their way. A little bit of luck. And that's what happens when, you pull it down to these, like, 2-on-2s. Anything can really happen. And again, the holding of utility is very smart from TDK in these post plants, where they are cutting off a lot of potential problems that could arise, and it makes their job to shoot just a little bit more easier. But as you kind of mentioned, this is another one of those rounds where you could potentially just lose it all if you can't capitalize. Nafany still playing aggressive, but aggression goes both ways as Jocko's up through the half wall. But look at the nades, look at the damage. And Nafany on the USP finds 2 out of nowhere. That's bomb dropped, and that should be round 1.
Full faith that util has just chunked them down. So many mollies, so many nades, but more than enough done. And TDK now in a position where they can find themselves a 9th. 3-man advantage. Brooksy and Masuda both going solo. Brooksy drawing attention back towards the B site, knowing that the C4 is in the sight of these CTs. And Masuda won't be able to find anything there. Sugar still lurking at apps, thinking maybe there's a world where someone's having a sniff, having a look. And GenOne, they are just leaving the bomb, thinking, okay, how's the money situation? Yeah, we still got flashes, AKs, armor. It's better for us just to save this one up.
Yeah, you'll still have a pretty healthy buy in the following, and if you want to consider the Chucky AWP, you can try it out. You've still got plenty of runway here, but TDK starting to whir back, and it's similar to Anubis, where sometimes it's got to be the IGL to captain a way forward. And it's him on the USP and a couple of well-placed utility pieces to get them back in.
Yeah. And I think most importantly for TDK, given how rough this half has already been, 5 alive at the end of that gives them a nice little buffer on the economy. So if things go wrong from this point, they'll have another bite at least. But that's 9 on the board. Let's see if they can equalize to 10 apiece. We head into the 20th. GenOne, they have everything they need and more, and still a little bit of money in the bank. So it may not all be, you know, sad times if they lose this one. They're going to go fast again. Never back down. Jocko, 19 and 9. Trying to hard carry GenOne over to Dust 2, and he's looking to do it solo now at Banana as everyone's left him on an island.
He decides better of it, moves back over, boost up on the port side, cleared out by Masuta, and he'll double down. What a massive play there from Masuta. They're going to wrap into this A bomb site, and they're aware of this potential second or third player on the port side. Axile only gets one. Instant save call here for TDK, and GenOne find their strike back. What a round.
I like that as well. Like, spacing-wise, for those 4 GenOne players that went to A, you know, it enabled the trade on short. They didn't really need the trade from Masuda, who got those first entries. And that's just that, right? Like, beautiful work. All 3 kills in the exact same spot there on short. And now it is just save territory for TDK. They realize the AKs definitely can be game changers moving into the next. And this is when, you know, that round before that we were talking about with 5 alive comes into the conversation, because especially with the 2 saved AKs, decent util still on these B players if they don't get found, then you can still have a full buy on these other individuals and give yourselves the best shot to find that 10th round. GenOne keep 4 alive, and now their money's looking pretty good as well. So this is the thing about Inferno. Sometimes you only get like those 4 kills around, maybe sometimes only 2 kills around. But every one of those kills matters.
Absolutely. And now, GenOne, do they want to continue that pacey style of CS? Because right now, TDK are not giving time to really set up and have their setups look as clean on the other end. Once again, Jocko fast up through Banana. Retake. Great flashbang to get them back in, but it's bait. It's all smoke and mirrors as Nafany cannot find anything.
Ooh.
Meanwhile, Axile's also got his hand full off the apartments. Are we going to just split into this A side again?
Oh, Brooksy. Yeah, he's managed to make his way in front of the Incent. The spread's a little weird. Backs up into it, and that gives enough for TDK to find 2 more. Just when things were looking pretty good for GenOne. They might have overstepped their mark. Still with the bracket control, but they are just going to regroup. And at this point, look, you know you've got a potential 3v2 on either side of the map. So where are you going to go?
Zorte's re-clearing out mid right now, or at least considering the possibility so they could potentially rotate, but Xanter is outside looking in. It's got to be a Sugar, and he finds it through the side of the floor. Now, smoke comes back up, but Masuta straight through the smoke. How has he found that kill? I couldn't tell you. Now they'll go bounding back in, but they still don't know about Xanter. He hasn't fired off a shot just yet. And he's going to wrap in through the church side. They're going to try to get this bomb down, but he should have a player blindsided, and he absolutely does. Denies the plant, thrusts it all into Masuta's hands. Gun goes dry. 15 seconds to the clock, and he's got to get a move on. But now that smoke's faded, how do you piece this together? You can't. TDK strike back.
You can't, you don't, and you won't. Bomb in such a weird to retrieve position, and then in that 2v1, no time, you're just never really planting. That's why he was looking for the kill, looking for the fight, and he couldn't get past the first hurdle. So big pick out of Zorte to put 10 on the board, and we still have a game on our hands here on Inferno. A few rounds left of regulation for either team to tie it up, close it out, or, you know, OT still definitely could be on the conversation if we keep trading these rounds back and forward. And GenOne, this is the round they need to win or their economy is cooked. It's a fast one.
Last of the brackets again. Yeah, they want to take all this space as quickly as possible. We've seen it work time and time again. But this time they've got Axel in the apartments for multiple trades, and he's found a couple. Still has Masuda to deal with, and he's not able to find it, but that's where Zorte can pick up the slack straight away. But it's only restricted to one, so we still have a 2-on-2. You favor the T's just a little bit, but look at how fast the defense has arrived to the scene.
Yeah, Xanta already poking his head up short, looking like the T's. They're going to swing together to try to double up in pit, but there's that info that they're looking for. Nafany going to be able to split the wickets and find that first man and the second. Jumping aggressive out on the balcony. Going to be enough for 11. We are finally tied up, and at least the bomb's gone down. So GenOne may have something to work with into the next. But again, that is so important for TDK to keep these two alive, get themselves the AWP back online, pick up an AK. Look how much util Nafany's carrying across to the next as well. And there's only 2 rounds left of regulation.
It's a dream scenario here for TDK with a 1 round like that, but it's just nightmare fuel that Brooksy has to team kill there. I mean, you're thinking maybe you can just trade Axile. Round still looks good. They caught the spacing that they were looking for. They just needed that trade. And GenOne will be giving, or at least potentially giving up, match point here with playing with the conservative purchase. And I don't mind this. Tech9s can still be fierce if they're able to get up into the apartments as quickly as possible, as they have. And with all this space, Axile will have to throw a defensive smoke, but they're going to go straight through that.
Oh, okay. Potentially body blocking.
Wow.
Yeah, it feels like he was found. Axile just standing there, but unfortunately the T's knew that something was irregular about that smoke. And this is looking way too easy. Maybe this is what GenOne were trying in the prior. But the flood out of short, out of apps at the exact same time, just get through those 2 CTs on site too quickly. And TDK maybe regretting starting with 3 players towards that B site.
Yeah, they've been trying really hard to make the 3B setup work, and I mean, last 3-4 rounds, it just feels like it's fast brackets, it's fast apps, and there's just no adaptation from TDK, and because of that, GenOne have capitalized. They realize that, hey, we've got nothing to lose to try and send that same play back up with the Tech9s. And now they get map point first on here on Inferno. Unlikely, but how much space that they've gotten. They get all the bells and whistles here into the final round of regulation. And TDK on the other end, they'll call themselves a tack timeout. I believe Axile's got a little bit of a technical issue, I'd imagine. But hopefully we'll be back into play straight away.
I'm keen to see what MBK is going to call here. Like, does he call that B pop? Does he think that they're finally just going to start 2B? Or are we going for something a little slower? What has the mastermind got in store for us here? And also, what are TDK going to do? Are they still going to start 3B? Are they still going to try to make it work? Or are we finally going to have a bit more defense over towards this A site? I feel like
it's like
what we saw from Axile is just not kind of what you would expect from him, right? Dropping a smoke and standing in it, hoping that he can maybe jump into apps as the apps players pop out. Like, there's been a few times on Inferno, like we saw Masuda do it in that first half where he tried to, you know, thread the needle through the smoke into pit, ended up selling whoever his teammate was on site at that point. And it's almost happened again here, but this time for the opposing team.
Yeah, I definitely feel as though Axile has been trying to get into apartments, like inside apartments as many times as possible. And that's something that if you're GenOne, you should be aware of this possibility as soon as that smoke comes up. That, unfortunately, just very readable if you are a GenOne player. And we do have our match medic completed. We should be back into play very shortly. But yeah, if I'm NBK, I say screw it, run it back again. Like it doesn't feel like TDK have been adapting whatsoever to my bracket play. I take brackets again, I take halls again, and I force these CTs to play back in that passive stance. And sure, even if there's 3 players there and you're getting into apartments at like a minute 20, minute 30, play that out. Use that aggression for yourself.
It looks like they're gonna point the feelers out. Got the molly on the choke, sandbags molly, and plenty of flashes just to fully clear out the top of Banana. Retake kit in there from TDK. And with the flash and the nade, they're not going to fully clear it out. You can see Sugar hesitant to go for that rotation. But they did start with 3 more towards that B site again. But GenOne changing their priorities, going for the wrap smokes on Arch, on Library. And Sugar wants to disrespect it, but he knows he's that little bit too late to pop out. Will swing potentially on the contact. No on the flash. There you go. Sugar going to be able to find one, but not spot anymore. Flash back towards short for the players on site to fight. And things just getting real damn awkward. Smoke to block, and Axile's found another. 3v5 to try and get back in. And all of them, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. That Smoke just denying any aggression. There's time to play with, but they'll force through. Brooksy going to be able to wrap on the site. Knows there's one more player in pit. If he can find Axile, then maybe there's a chance. There is time. There's an opportunity. There's Axile falling. 30 on the clock. Bomb retrievable. And sight in his hands. With info on both these CTs, we are going all the way to OT.
Whoa, and I mean, the utility just across every which position that GenOne wanted to bounce out of. Not there, and the response from TDK even better. I love the flash up on the arch side to get Sugar activated, completely blindsides NBK, and they just get caught up in all of this chaos here on the lane and apartment setup. Axile somehow doubles down. I don't know how you see multiple players in that kind of a setup, but hey, anything to get the job done here for TDK. You brought it back to OT. You've got an opportunity to still close this out in 2. And if you're GenOne, you're going to want that one back again with how much space you're able to get and how much pressure you were able to put on these CTs throughout this half.
Off the double flashes. Blind anyone further away as well as close. Coordinated swing will get another pick for Xanta. And now put TDK in a good position to hold onto this B site, even though there's only 2 players here. Sorte, here's that flash. Fully focused on Boiler. Will drop the insend and fall away.
Wow. They don't want anything to do with brackets all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Instead, they come back over to B, and they're still waiting to hold the smokes here. They're right down, bearing on this B bomb site. Smoke finally comes through. They don't have a nade to blow this one open, so it's gonna have to be blind if they want to come through. Flash in, and yeah, they're gonna commit off this.
Smoke square in the way. Nafni dropping one himself to try and maybe get in behind enemy lines, which he will do, but it's this huge smoke tunnel. Choke smoke finally fades. That's going to be the C4 on the ground. 30 seconds to play with as Brooksy finds yet another. The 2-man entry is enough to buy some space, but maybe that time is too much for him to deal with. Doubling back, thinking he can go all the way back to A, but there is a Zorte in the way, and there's no chance of a plant on that A site now. Sugar comes back and just waits for the moment to swing, hits the ding, and then doubles down on those headshots for a round for TDK.
Yeah, well orchestrated there by TDK. Just felt like the swing back and forth from GenOne was a little out of sorts once again, especially after they lose Jocko going aggressive in Banana, and it's been working for them very well, but this time around, once that aggression is gone off Banana, it feels like the options run dry for GenOne. Like they're not really planning how to play around a man disadvantage like that, and maybe your response is going back to brackets, because right now, Banana seems to be dealt with enough. I mean, it's not perfect, but they're patching it up together well enough that maybe you look elsewhere.
We'll see if there is going to be an elsewhere moving into the next. Quick tactical taken for OT, just to try to get some eggs all in line. Zorte dropping the banana smoke. 3 CTs here, looking to brawl for it. Falling flash across the top to set up Nafani, who's right on down towards the broom already. Audible sound cue from that reload. Gets him naded. Down to 30. And GenOne, I feel like they will focus on a retake here eventually. Xanta still spraying back. Will find the head of NBK. Maybe overstays his welcome, but will find even more damage. And with that and the package on the ground, smoke about to fade. Surely Chucky grabs it.
He wants to play ahead. And I don't know how he's going to deal with that. Instead, on the arch side, you're hoping that maybe there's some openings elsewhere. But Zorte, Sugar, they rip it back. Now it's just Chucky with the C4 and a lot of room to play with. Does Chucky move up into A? I mean, he's got to move back into this AWP. Just dodges death. Oh my goodness. Zorte might swing out, look down mid, and say nobody's home. But Chucky can go all the way around, and he's got free reign. But Zorte, very aware, moves back the other way. Oh! He got a sound cue, but he misses nonetheless. Gets the up back out, though, and still rectifies it. My goodness, that could have been unruly. 2 HP, the difference between embarrassment and victory, but TDK survive.
Yeah, big damage onto him, and then tanks another Glock shot to hit that second AWP attempt. But yeah, huge read from Zorte to push into Boiler, realize that, you know, what is dirty, where that T could be. Just, he didn't want to escape it, didn't want to get potentially flanked out of apps with such little time remaining. So staying proactive, won them another, but can it get them all 15, all of these CT rounds in the first half of OT?
Yeah, it just feels like GenOne have run out of gas in the tank, so they're going to go back to Old Faithful. They're going to go through this bracket setup, but Axile nails the first shot. Got to move back into apartments, though, with that setup brewing. Volley in their face, not actually respect, and that could be to their own demise. Lineup is there, and they managed to get out, but they've lost so many bodies here. How do you find any way to dig out Nafany? I could tell you, Sugar takes a nade kill with him as well, and TDK get themselves all 3 rounds on the defense.
And there you go. They were ready for the pop this time, ready for that over-aggression through mid, through short, and Jocko was just not able to find that first entry. So finally, TDK adapting just enough, and now they're on to the half where they were finding a bit more success. Difference is this time GenOne going to have money for each and every one of these rounds. So let's see if GenOne are going to be able to get themselves back into the game. It has to be flawless if they want that double OT. 1 round for TDK, and we close this out 2-0.
Took them a little bit of time to get the ball rolling on the tail end for TDK, but there were some really cool ideas that they had when they were able to play at their own pace, but that's not to be the case this time around. Aggression coming back the other way. GenOne do not want to go quietly off into the night. Solid utility to get themselves an opening. It all starts with 1 kill.
Look where Axile fell as well. There had to be such a deep nade from Masuta from top mid. And TDK just playing it slowly. Figuring out exactly where they want to put their priorities. Flash at mid just to retake some control at bracket. And some retake util coming through from TDK as well. Flash, oh, put Jocko in a position to succeed, but unfortunately it didn't blind Zorte, but he's moved off the line. And things just get way too awkward, but GenOne still remain unscathed. Chucky posted on a good line. Sugar and Xanta slowly but surely show some kind of impact over here. Jocko has been seen at the half wall, but he's going to fight fire with fire. Headshots onto both Zorte and Nafany. Chucky hits his, and Xanta's got no hope in the 1v4.
Lovely little setup there. Nearly disassembled, mind you. But Jocko still's got stuff left in the tank. For sure. 10 seconds now. Xanta's got to get a move on. Blinds up the AWP and had a chance for a couple, but only finds the 1. Still 2 more to go here for this CT side to stay in this upper bracket semifinal. But again, another bye to deal with, and TDK now likely having a lot more time to set up their default. Because I'd imagine you don't have that same mid-util set from GenOne, like 2 rounds in a row.
I love that from Jocko as well. Knew there was the half-wall guy that was jumping for info, went for the swing, thought about the fight, which could have cost him the round, but he just holds that spray so perfectly and finds the heads of both those T's lurking at Banana. See if there's going to be some kind of early pick gifted by TDK this time. However, they are more aware that there is damage coming from a lot of that utility, so they are just chilling at T-stairs. Looking to play more towards the mid-round.
People having aggression down through Banana, you give it up. Like, you don't have the deep smoke and you're just gonna willing to jiggle.
Yeah.
And that could cost them as it develops, but...
Oh, spread.
They're doing a lot of damage over to Masuta through that Molotov. That all of a sudden the CT's got to get pushed back, and NBK as well moved all the way back to the B site. So a lot of space being given over to TDK here.
Yeah, that molly spread can be so deceiving at times, and Masuda this time almost goes 100-0 off the back of it. And now comes that contact in. Brooksy falling. Jocko walks straight into the crosshair of Sugar, and this time that mid hold from TDK pays dividends. 5v1 over towards this B site. And TDK should find the freest sight of their lives. NBK going to be spotted over towards Dark, hoping that the pillar's going to be more than enough. But the layered flashes perfect both times. And it's a 2v5 for the retake for the game.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, retake that they are asking for out of these GenOne guys now. And, you know, Chucky, Masuta, they've both had their moments in this map of Inferno, but TDK have just surged back here in this second map and have looked like the de facto team in this upper bracket semi, and it doesn't look like signs are of them slowing down are even there remotely. Sugar finds another, and Chucky's been found out. 16-13, TDK will move on, and we're starting to see this team to be a lot more than just a mix, Mac. There is a lot of structure to this team, and there is a lot of excitement behind this team with a lot of familiar faces.
But it's lovely to watch. I'm, pleasantly surprised. Every team I've watched so far here at Challenger League is just bringing in some mad ideas. And yeah, TDK, they have now found themselves in the upper bracket final. 1 game away from the grand final, and 2 wins away from potentially taking all the marbles. 16-13 on Inferno, 2-0. But GenOne, they still have that second life, that second opportunity down in the lower bracket, which is fortunate for them because I don't think they'll be happy with how they performed today.
Yeah, I think they definitely still have the skill to hang around, but you've got Ill Will lurking there. You could potentially have Mouse and XT down there if they're not able to come out on top against Leo in the upper bracket. But we'll have the updated bracket up for you in just a little bit, just so you know where we're headed. And right now, Mouse and XT up a map, so solid work for them, and that could be an awesome upper bracket final if we can get Mouse and XT and TDK there. But yeah, on the lower bracket side of things, I'm not sure if we have that updated as well, but yeah, we do, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, Ill Will continues their march in through the lower bracket, and Alliance do get the 2-0. I think they might have ended up playing out that game, so we get a pretty spicy lower. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah. But we get a spicy lower bracket game there between GenOne and Alliance.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one. Excited to see exactly what that can potentially provide. Some quality CS out of the boys, but unfortunately, yeah, it's just going to be an interesting one for GenOne if they're going to be able to bounce back and make that lower bracket run, because there are some names down here. There are some big names. I believe we've also still got Leo and Mouse NXT still being played out, so we don't know who Ill Will is going to be playing in that lower bracket. We don't know who is going to be joining TDK up in the upper final as well, and that unfortunately will be played out, I guess, shortly. What are they looking at the moment? How's that game going? That's piqued my interest. Okay, Mouse NXT are a few rounds away from potentially 2-0ing Leo and sending them down to the lower bracket. So that's how that one's going. And yeah, I'm excited to see who we end up getting and who ends up staying in the upper bracket, because yeah, TDK definitely impressed me today.
Yeah, a lot of names that are still up in this competition, and we're gonna have to continue to cut down away from them, getting down to the nitty gritty here for this Challenger Cup. But that's gonna do it here for the EU side of things for right now. Again, tune into Mouse NXT, Leo, wherever you can, and we'll catch you guys on the next broadcast. I'm Paladin. I've been joined by Mac, and we hope you've enjoyed this wonderful ESL broadcast.
Aggressive move at mid. Here's Chucky. Oh, for the support! What a trip!
So he's got all the flanks right in front of him. He nearly misses, but still finds two in the whole process, and that's still fantastic.
Let's see. The aggression is going to be the answer. Oh, Brooksy tucked in the corner as men coming. He's spawned to split things instead.
Despite taking his long lead the other way, and he got sound cue away immediately. Taking up over the rifle and take the duel, and he wins out the 1-on-2.
30 seconds. Here in mid, however, Sugar standing tall. Do they expect the second man? Not just yet.
And leave Xantra as that sacrificial lamb. They're in. They do try to players, and they do. Now it's just Chucky stuck up in this. He's got 10 seconds left to stale off the bomb, and that's the round one. Just off the nature of Chucky. Oh my goodness. It's got
Reads from
good arch. Chucky is good. Let's go.
double nine. Managed to deal with Sugar straight away. He's up on the sandbags. He's sticking it, and he'll wrangle it the whole.
Reckon goes both ways as Jocko is up to half full, but look at the nades, look at the damage. Now time again. But this time they've got Axe out of the apartments for multiple trades. He's found a couple.
Find an impact over here. Jocko has been seen at the half wall, but he's going to fight fire with fire. Now comes that contact in. Brooksy falling. Jocko.